What's good, everybody, and welcome to another interview. And boy, is it gonna be a good one. I'm mad excited here. Do you see who I have with me here today? I have fucking Tek Luciano here with me today. Now we talking hip hop history legend type shit here. If you don't know the man's name, you are as Justin Hunt would say, slap yourself in the face. That's how ridiculous it is to not know who Tek Luciano is. So I'm going to do my intro. It's going to be a couple minutes of blabbering. It is what it is. My name's Holden Stephan Roy, by the way. Also, if you're watching as the chat goes on, feel free, if you're on YouTube, to go on twitch.tv/behindthatsuit and follow so you can watch the next interview. And if you do catch this on whatever platform, do leave your comments so that you can follow up and all that good engagement stuff. But let me tell you about Tek Luciano. So I started rapping myself in 2012, right? You got to understand that I'm a new guy to the game, Anglo side of the city, because Montreal, Anglo-Franco side, there's two sides. And I hear the name Tek Luciano with reverence. I mean, this is one of those hitters. This is one of those names that are like a big fucking deal, right? So I'm like, okay, this is like real power. Like guys, like whatever. You recognize some people along the way. So one day, I think it's like 2013 or 2014, me and my dude, Mr. Spades, we're setting up a show, and I get asked to host this motherfucker. So my face gets to be on the flyer and everything. So I'm tripping balls. And Mr. Tek Luciano's name happens to appear on this very flyer. So he ends up being a performer at the show. Fun fact, that shit's on my wall. Technically, Tek Luciano's name has been on the wall in the corner the entire inception of Behind That Suit's existence. So there you go. You're kind of connected to the history of all this. Anyway, so I remember this whole intro because it's one of the most vivid memories of being a rapper in my life. I go into the backstage, and Tek Luciano's back there doing a little thing with his boys. And he just looks at me and goes, "Who the fuck are you? What are you," like, you're just like, "What are you fucking doing here?" Like, I had to literally bust out my fucking phone and pull up the flyer to convince the man that I was in fact an MC and that I did in fact actually belong here, etc. Right? Because I'm in my suit doing my thing. But then I spit. And then he said one other thing to me. "Yo, you got on stage. You didn't have no hype, man. You did your thing. I don't know if I felt your shit, but I respect you." And I was like, oh my God, a Montreal legend. Just give me his props and shit. And that was one of the highlights of like my early rap career, so to speak. So that was huge for me. And anyway, so it's kind of cool to all this time later have you here up on this thing. And I don't know, it's just such an honor, man. So just thank you for being here. The man just dropped a new project. I actually I have it. The name, I can't remember it at this second. Give me a second.
The Darkest Hour.
That's
bro.
it. I had the Spotify there. But 3 tracks of sheer interesting. And I say interesting, and we're going to go through the whole story of this man as much as I can get out of him. Because I put this album on, and I'm expecting some spitter kind of stuff. And man just dropped a beautiful, soulful, melodic experience that hit my heart heavy, and it just makes me already want to go back and play the thing. It is brilliant. Now, I think there's a story there. I think there's a very interesting story. How we have a guy from back in the day, spitter, because I watched Duke Sky on stage, like fucking all out 90s boom bap spitting type shit, to accepting, I'd imagine, this melodic experience, because that's a transition. Like, there has to be some humility up in that, in my opinion. But to give him credit, because I did do a little bit of research up in here, he did always have the melody and the hooks, even back in 2010 and shit, from what I could tell. I mean, it's hard to find albums up on the internet, but you can find a shit ton of music videos on the internet, and I highly encourage you to go through the annals and do your due diligence and learn about the man. Anyway, we're going to now get to the more question and story-driven part of this. It's going to be all over the place. We're up to 6 viewers, so that's fire right now, I just wanted to say. We already got some people's watching.
What's up, folks?
So I'm starting all the interviews with a very particular question. So I realized as my girlfriend's washing the dishes, and we're early 30s, she's listening to that Black Eyed Peas things, one of them tracks, them club banger type stuff, and I had this epiphany. Club music is chores music, just down the line. So whatever's popping and making the girl shake it in the club while you is 20 is what she is washing dishes and cleaning up the house to 10, 15 years later. Maybe not entirely, but a lot of it's going to keep creeping back in. It's going to be part of that. So that made me go, that means that when Lil Tek Luciano, he's a little youngster in his house, his parents are going to be bumping certain kind of vibes as they're going around the house doing their things. And this had to have been the beginning of music for Tek Luciano. So what is the beginning of music as a child, as your parents are doing their chores and things? Tell us about the beginning of the journey of your musical endeavors.
Bro, so first of all, I want to start by saying we're gonna come back to that intro a little bit later on because I want to clear some things up. Okay, I was an asshole back then. I'm gonna just go out and say it go out on a limb.
Nah,
but we'll come back to that.
I did not take it
but
that bad. It was meant to me. It was a great moment in my life, but I appreciate that still. But it was fun.
No, I was a dick. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But we'll come back to it. So to answer the question, and this may come as a shocker to a lot of people, but basically my first introduction to music was soul music. My parents, both of my parents, were big on Motown. So anything from the Jacksons to Diana Ross and the Supremes was a big one in my household. Smokey Robinson, the whole Motown vibe, that whole eclectic vibe was just soul music was my introduction to the game. And my mom was like really big on Michael Jackson. Now, let me move the camera for a second just to show you how deep that Jimmy runs. So this is my studio room.
Oh, fresh.
And the man himself is right there. I don't know if you can see it.
No, I can. That's fucking, you put a lot of effort into that.
Oh, I had to, bro. This is years and years and years in the making. But so yeah, bro, that was my introduction to music. And I think a lot of the melodic stuff throughout my career, whether it be a hook, a full verse, whatever the case may be, it stems back to that, just that early childhood love of soul music, harmonies, melodies. I mean, full out like barbershop quartets. I'm actually still to this day really big on Boys to Men. I'm like low key. I'm an R&B dude at heart, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, I don't know if that comes as a shocker to people or what, but that's basically what it was.
That's amazing. I think it's really interesting you said that. Is that like something that like back in the day you would have hid? That you were a big Motown fan or R&B fan, or is that like public?
Not really, to be honest with you. Like anybody who knows me, anybody that's driven in my truck, like they know. Like I'm not ashamed of it at all. I love R&B. I love soul music. To me, that's real music. Like that's real deal talent. You know what I mean? I feel like honestly, I almost feel like anybody can sort of learn how to rap, but like that soulful shit, like you either have it or you don't. So yeah, man.
Okay, so you're born in Montreal?
I am.
What part of Montreal are you from? Like, pretend we're filling out your wiki.
Yeah, let's do the Wikipedia joints, man. Born in LaSalle, actually, and I lived there to the age of I think it was like 3 or some shit like that, and then we moved over to Chattown, Chateauguay, South Side, and I've been there ever since. But I mean, I always hung out in the city, always hung out in LaSalle. Like LaSalle really is kind of like home base. LaSalle and Chateauguay are definitely what I would call home. So yeah, south side till I die, bro.
Fair enough. One of the things we've discovered on this interview journey is that it seems to be somewhere around the puberty era is when the musical taste starts to come in. You start to have a real desire to pursue a certain genre or another in terms of I listen to this, not just what's around me per se. So around when does this moment happen in your life, and where does that journey start with you? I'm talking, a little 10, 12, whatever age it is.
Bro, see, the funny thing is I actually know the exact moment. So it was the transition between elementary school, and high school, the summer between, and I was at my boy Yush's house. Shout out to Yush. It's literally been my best friend since kindergarten. Like we've been, 30 years in the game together. And I was at his house, and we just randomly ended up throwing on instrumentals and all freestyling. And for whatever reason, I was dope. Like I realized that, like, yo, like I'm kind of nice with this shit, right? And that actually transitioned into like a full-fledged wanting to be a rapper. And I was very early on with the internet. Like I was on computers at a very, very young age. So like Soundclick, like right these days people only know Soundclick as a place where you go to jack free beats, right? Back in the day, Soundclick, and I'm talking like 2000, 2001, 2002, Soundclick was actually
how old are you back in like then?
I would have been 12, 11 or 12.
Okay, so you're like 12 in like 2000,
Yeah.
and you're a bit of on the computer end of things, so you have access to the internet and all of that's going on in your life. Is that like at home you
Yeah.
have access to it?
Yeah, I was at home.
That's fucking fresh. I'm saying that from a point of jealousy because I think now we're about the same age and I did not have it, so a little bit of jealousy popping in there. But yo, what high school did you go to? That's also an important question.
Billings, bro. Chattagee, rep it, man. We here.
That's fresh. So you're like 12, you're about to start the Billings, or maybe you've started there. I don't know, around that time. Um,
Yeah.
and so you like, how do you get to this point where like y'all are just like you just random you throw on a beat one day, yo, let's try rap. You had to have had some rap pop up in your life prior to that moment, or is it just spontaneous? Y'all
The
invented rap in
funniest
your
shit in
life.
the world, the funniest shit in the world, and like this is actually a story that like I've kind of like I'm a little bit embarrassed because it's corny, right? But my introduction to hip hop was the movie Dangerous Minds with
Okay.
I can't remember the lead actress. It was either Basinger or the one that was in Scarface. I can't remember which one, but one of them was in that shit. Anyway, Gangsta's Paradise, bro. That was my introduction. I knew that song front to back to front, like in like third grade. That was my introduction to hip hop, and I always kind of paid attention to it ever since then. But the actual incarnation of me like wanting to rap came from that one day at my boy's house where we just ended up randomly freestyling for no reason, you know?
That's crazy. So you do encounter this one track and probably a few others along the way. I just assume at like, I don't know, that young age, you're not in full control of what you're listening to stuff. I don't know. Maybe you can because you have access to the computer.
No,
Were
I
you
was, man. I was always kind of like a wild child in a sense. Like I just kind of did whatever I wanted to do.
were you
There was no stopping me.
was it like CDs and albums, or were you just up on that LimeWire? I don't know what. I guess LimeWire was
It
around back
was
then.
both. Like before Napster was a thing, we used to get like the Columbia House catalogs and order
Straight
CDs off
up.
of there. Yeah, bro. So like that was my thing. Like every couple of months, that shit would come in, and like I specifically remember I ordered Big Pun, Capital Punishment. I ordered Cameron, Horse and Carriage. I ordered Wyclef's album. Like I was just stacking up albums, you know. So that was kind of where like my real knowledge of the genre came from at a super early age.
So before you did get to the point of freestyling, you were still consuming the music from like a super
Yeah,
early
yeah, hundred
age.
percent,
And that's
for
super
sure, for sure.
interesting. So what were like the first give us an example of like the first few albums you ran through, because I think this is the kind of shit like that tells the story, right? You start listening to this shit and then you end up getting to this point of freestyling, and that to me is fucking crazy, like in a cool way.
It was I was obsessed with Tupac in like seventh grade. That was my guy. I had every Tupac album on repeat like crazy, blasting it in my room. My fucking parents hated that shit, straight up. But that was it. I was a big proponent of Tupac back at that age.
So Tupac, well, that's fair enough. And then you get into rapping. You move on past that, I guess. And but how are you getting music? Like, even just the technological front. Are you like up on the internet stealing shit right now, or are you like?
Big time. Yeah, that's right around when I got into high school, which was in the year 2000. That's really when like Napster came about, and then it was Kaza. Nobody still knows how to pronounce that to this day, and LimeWire, right? Basically, the things that gave your computer every computer disease known to man. So that's how I got my music. But bringing it back to what I was talking about with the SoundCloud shit, not SoundCloud, sorry, SoundClick.
Soundclick.
Like I was saying before, like people these days they know SoundClick as a place that like you go to jack free beats from. It's like the instrumental hub these days, right? But back in the early 2000s, SoundClick was actually like an online battling community. So like say like HSR would have his SoundClick page, I would have my SoundClick page, and like we would bump into each other one way or another and want to battle each other. So you would record your little 45-second clip, I would record my 45-second clip, and people would vote. And it actually became a huge thing. Like I don't know if you ever heard of DZK, but he was like a kind of big underground rapper at one point. He came straight off of SoundClick, the battle scene, and like there was actually crews that would form. I was in a crew with like dudes from Nebraska and Atlanta. Like I'm like 13 at this point, battling people online. Like that was how it really started for me. That's how I honed my
Holy
skills.
shit.
You know?
Yo,
Yeah, bro.
you know what? That's crazy. Is because I think I'm entering into the world of the super grandchild of that. which is Facebook group battles, which is so fascinating because it's a lot of like what you're describing in Facebook
Yeah.
groups. But I'm mad interested into the history of technology, and because so something that was so confusing to me, where I think you may have just helped even answer and shed some light. So thank you, because I love the knowledge out of this shit and the history of it. But I couldn't get why everybody kept saying shit like, bro, you have no idea whose eyes are on you. And everybody just seemed like they were real big. I don't mean any disrespect, but coming into a group with like 7,000 people in it and just 200 views on a video, watching the level of where the shit that's happening in this group, it's kind of ridiculous to see without the context of maybe some of these dudes have actually really been doing this for almost 20 years in these battles, possibly all the way back to the days that you're describing. So holy shit, dude, you possibly saved me from making an ass of myself in a public setting. So thank you for that.
I'm just trying to do my duty, man, you know?
So how would it go? Like, would it be like you would just jack a beat and write a track? And I don't mean it to like imply whatever theft, but or did you guys make your own stuff or whatever?
I'm happy to elaborate, because this is literally bringing me back to a time of my life where like I had no responsibilities. I was like, you know what I'm saying, just a great time of my life, man. Essentially, so what it was is like you would click up, like you would get on Soundclick, you'd have your first couple of battles, and one of these crews, it's like gaming, where like you say you start Call of Duty and you're kind of ass, but as time goes on you get really good, and then you form a squad. It was the same shit. So you would go have a couple of battles, and like some clique would come and scoop you up. You'd be a part of the group, and within that group you'd have the rappers, you'd have writers, you would have beat makers. So like I would say, all right, I'm supposed to battle this guy on this date. Boom, I need a beat. Guy gives me the beat. I go in, record my thing. The other rapper would do his thing on the other end, and literally a community of people would just vote on these battles, and you would like go up in the rankings based on your wins. It was crazy. Like it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Mind you, the recordings were done on Logitech microphones, so they sounded really bad, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, bro, it was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, but if you think about what you just said, because part of what I'm always trying to puzzle on is how the fuck are we all gonna make it through in this music thing? You know, put Montreal on the map. But even like selfishly, like, how am I gonna finance my next album and maybe not break? You know, how can we like save money? You know, these are all important things, but the youthful people don't necessarily think like that. They kind of think more like what you're describing is what I'm seeing. Like, y'all clicked up. Y'all were like, yo, you guys make the beats, you guys do this, and we are repping for this squad, and we're going to make it happen. And I don't know. It to me, it's kind of like an inspiring idea, right? Because it's not the hardest. It's a hard model to replicate if you go on, like, Montreal Facebook into established studios and whatever. But, like, what you just kind of described was go ingratiate yourself into this online community of any kind. Keep participating. Keep showing people that you're got a character of some sorts. And then the results of that is you're going to attract the kind of talent to support you. And what's nuts is I started doing these Facebook contests, and I don't think I'm going to win shit because it's all, like, battle rap driven. So I'm like, I'm not going to win there. It's not really my shtick. But what started happening is this graphic designer dude showed up and was like, bro, your next contest, you know, I'm going to fucking come through and I'll sponsor your shit. And the next thing, and I'm like, no shit. So hearing you say this, it's cool because it's like the kind of shit that we all, especially as the older cats watching this, because them youth are just looking at us like, fuck these old men. Not that in a bad way, but they're like, come on, guys, it's kind of obvious, Dad. And I'm like, I get that. I'm there too now.
Listen, I've fully embraced my old headedness at this point.
We'll
talk about that later. But yeah, I've embraced it, so I'm not mad. It's okay.
But on the other hand, I think you're very open-minded about the future. I'm not gonna lie, because I posted about playing Among Us, and you're like, fuck it, I'm in. That's some open-minded shit, right? That's completely not that stubborn, because there's some stubborn out there that is different. But what I love about what you said, though, is just how replicatable it is for anybody, right? How hard is it for any person out there to go find a community of any kind where there is a squad of people watching, and maybe now the idea there's these eyes on you could be you don't know that there's like a fucking beat maker just waiting to throw you a beat on your next one. Just wait. Like, you know that? Exactly. That's beautiful, dude. Knowledge. That's what I love out of this shit. So what were like some fucking crazy stories from that era? Because you're a young dude. Like, is there beefs? Does it get serious? Is it drama? Is it fun? I don't mean, obviously you don't have to go too far with it, but
Yeah. No, I mean, I just listen. I've had beefs and shit like that. That was later on. That was in like 2007, 8, 9. Those that era. And we can get to that later. I don't even know if we need to touch on that really, but we can if
Honestly,
we want to.
let's say the real life beef stuff's not, but like, I'm talking 13-year-old Soundclick beef sounds like a little more interesting and safe. Maybe
Okay, yeah.
not.
I mean, nah, you know what? There was never really beef at that era because we were doing it for the love of the art. And that's the thing, like even what you're saying in terms of like ingratiating yourself with a community and people throwing you beats and stuff, like it's a lot harder to do today because now that social media, has literally come into every part of our life, right? Like people are up on the game, people are up on the business now. You're not going to find too many beat makers that are going to just throw you a beat because they know at the end of the day that it's a very oversaturated market and they can sell their shit at the end of the day. They may not be able to make 5 bills off of it like a lot of these beat makers want to make. And I'm not knocking anybody, but we're not, if you don't got production credits, I'm not giving you 5 bills for a beat. We'll leave that there. But what I'm saying was back then, like we were just a bunch of kids doing this shit for the love of rap. Like there was never even no thought of I'm gonna be a household name. We're gonna get famous off of this. It was literally just I want to go on SoundClick and watch my name climb the rankings from 500 on the website to top 100 and then top 20 and whatever the case may be. And I actually got close. I was in the top 20 out of like thousands of people. So I knew I had something.
Yo, that's also amazing, honestly. Yo, Spades is up in the chat. That's fucking
What
dope.
up, Space? What up? What up? What up?
But what's really cool about what you said, in my opinion, is again principle of like why people rap. Like I'm not gonna lie, somewhere along the way I lost my focus and I got too focused on the vanity of it. But yo, 14-year-old me, yo, Willie Scandals is up in this fucking chat too. That's fucking
What
dope.
up, Buppy?
Yo, it's the Twitch thing. You gotta fucking, shut out the peeps a little bit. But I remember when I was a youngster, I just loved it, right? And I love what you're saying because it kind of helps me get myself now in my internal struggles. It kind of reminds me of being young and why I got into in the first place. And I think it's something we all maybe need to remember a little bit, that the scores don't matter so much as the game. Well, I mean the score in the competition or however you rank it, sure. But what I mean
Yeah,
is
I
the
got you.
yeah, the business end of the complication that we've made it, rather than it being about like at least we have to be able to move. There has to be a way to move in order for it to even be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a little convoluted there. Sometimes the weed does get the best of me. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's talk good. We have time, bro. We can rant. You can rant
Yo,
as long
dude,
as you want. I know
you
I've
have
been
no idea.
ranting and raving already. So it's
Cause for
all love.
real, like I planned ahead. We already worked out supper arrangements, so I don't have to like stress, and we can really run it. Cause last time I got
Bro,
hungry and it was
I'm
complicated.
skipped edition at like 10 o'clock or whenever we finish. So we good.
That's it, man.
We good.
Um, so yeah, thanks, Bonnie, for the loveliness of cooking later on.
Thank you, Bonnie.
So how long did this SoundClick business go on for? That sounds dope. Like, how long was
Man,
that a part of your life?
it's hard to put a timeline on it. I would say maybe till like 2003, 2004. It really it was still there, but at that time, I had gotten noticed by a guy that I would go on to work with until present day, Mo Littles, and we formed a group called Famine. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure how he found me, but he was an older cat. He was like in his 20s. I was 14, 15. And I mean, I was in high school doing shows at the Hard Rock and like doing shows at bars and shit that I'm not even old enough
Oh,
to be in, but I
hold
always
up.
look like this,
So
you
you're
know?
on this SoundClick business, and then
Yeah.
simultaneously you're 14 years old, already rocking fucking shows, dude.
Yeah.
How? That's not. Well, I mean, maybe it's normal for a lot of people. That's not normal for me and my kin. How did that come to be, sir?
It, like I said, bro, it was just luck. Like it was like I took it from like SoundClick is kind of what gave me the confidence because it really allowed me to sharpen my pen in those little online battle leagues and stuff like that. And then I took it offline and then like I became known in my high school as the guy who raps. Like that was
Okay.
always who I was, right? So I was rocking shows, obviously doing the little variety shows and talent shows. I was battling in the lunchroom, battling in the schoolyard, battling fucking everywhere. And then, like I said, to this day, I don't know how Morgan Emo got a hold of me, how he heard about me, but basically he just hit me up online and was like, yo, you're dope. I have a studio in NDG, come through. Me and my boy Yush, we went through, I dropped a track, and the rest is history. I mean, like, Famine Click got formed right there. And, you know, we took off running from there. And like he like I said, he was an older guy, always was like a hustler, you know, big up to him, because I definitely do have to give him a lot of credit for like starting me off in a sense. Because he was an older dude, so he knew promoters and stuff like that. So he was hooking up all the shows, like the Hard Rocks and the I did Toi Minot, which is on, we used to be on Saint Laurent. It's not there anymore. It was right next to Moog Audio. That was like one of the first venues that we used to start to rock way back in the day. So I'm like 14 years old doing shows on Saint Laurent. And me, bro, I thought I was like famous. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Man, I'm like just processing how incredible your career is as a teenager. It's like outshining a lot of people's efforts in like modern life. And not this isn't a shot at like talent, it's a shot at opportunity and just how different the world is and just how crazy it is in what you're saying. Because maybe I was just an ignorant fool back in the day, but I'm just saying, like, okay, so the man went on the internet and found a Soundclick. And we're talking young, we're talking like 13, and he like
Yeah, bro.
fucking ends up. I'm just kind of recapping because we hit 9 viewers, so you know what's up.
That's
Uh,
what's up.
so then the man sharpens his pen game, and I assume you're open to criticism back then because you're young. So I guess you're like hungry. How
For
is that?
sure.
Was it like, how are you with criticism like back then versus today? Do you feel like, I mean, we'll get over it, but you know what? We'll save that for like when we get to the older man part. But back then you were pretty open minded about it.
Yeah, big time. Because like I said, back then it was all about you know, sharpening my pen, getting better. And like I said, I was a part of a group, and I actually remember the group's name on SoundClick too. Twisted Visions was the crew, and like I said, we had dudes in there from Omaha, Nebraska. We had dudes in there from Atlanta, Georgia. We had people from all over just in this weird SoundClick group. And like every time that I would do a battle or even like a song and drop it on SoundClick, like the whole crew would basically critique the song and be like, all right, yo, you need to work on this. You need to work on your transitions between bars. You need to learn how to count bars. You know, like you need to learn how to do this, and that. So it was like crazy just getting all this guidance from these older guys that I never met. I met one of the dudes and still have a relationship with him, Stilo from Omaha. He's doing his thing out in the Midwest right now too.
That's
So
fresh.
we still have that relationship, man. Yeah.
Yo, I just realized that must have been crazy, right? Because you're dropping all these different locations, right? Which means, like, there's a lot of musical interests that are localized. Like, I went to Uyghur, so back in the Uyghur days, this was the music that was popping. This was the
Yo,
stuff
hold
that.
on, pause. We hated y'all's fucking basketball team, bro.
That's what
You
it is,
guys had
dog.
this one. You guys had this one dude, bro. It's this one white dude, and I swear to God, he was 7 feet tall. He was just dunking on everybody. We hated you guys, bro. But that's a different story, man.
Yo, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, that was definitely the reputation felt by many people over the times. But and I realized back then so much what I listened to, like a lot of it came from like what was around me, right? So you would have had
Yeah,
that localized. What I guess what was popping in Montreal business, but then you would have also had all these other cities that were kind of like. I'm sure they would have shared hot tunes with you and shit a little bit beyond.
for
Like you
sure.
guys would have been boys. I'm imagining. That must
Yeah,
have been
definitely.
such a
Like I said, like
blessing.
I still have relationships with some of these guys, bro.
So were you like the dude that was like the plug in high school for all the fresh shit because you would have had all these multiple sources for different musical interests? Because we're talking
I
like
was
this
one
is
of them.
pre like YouTube, pre everything, right? We're talking
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
you would
big
have
time.
been on some. You could if you sing Atlanta, you would have known about dungeon families and shit. Like in a way where
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
only
Of
discovering an
course.
outcast and shit, right? Like that's nuts,
Yeah.
dude. That's crazy. Wow, man. That's the
I was
power.
definitely one of the plugs. There was a couple other guys in my high school too because we were all really in tune with the internet. By like 2003, 2004, I was full fledged. Like I was an internet guy, you know. So like I always had that. Like I always had albums before they dropped. That was my thing. I would burn CDs. No, listen, it's the statute of limitations and shit, you know. But like I would like when Get Rich or Die Trying is a great example. I had that album like 2 or 3 months before it dropped, I had it on a CD and I was fucking selling that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was one of the plugs, definitely, for sure.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's fresh, man. Were you on MySpace? Alex just, sorry, Spades brought up MySpace.
Oh, dude, you know what? I had a page. I had a MySpace page, but I never really fucked with it too hard for whatever reason. But I was on it though. Yeah, I was
Okay,
on there.
that's fresh. Yeah, I'm still tripping about how, like, cause yo, there's still, like I said, as much as it might be harder to replicate the easy of success that you had, I'm telling you, dude, by accident in my life, some of what you're describing is happening to me from your SoundClick life. So I'm fucking tripping about how interesting what you're saying is in terms of how we can all just take something from it. So, alrighty, you're like a teenager now, and you've already got like 2 years, 3 years rapping. You're doing actual fucking shows with the squad. I mean, I guess that kind of like throws all the normal questions. Normally, people are adults when they get into this shit. Yo, so tell us a little bit about how it went. Like, what was it like being a young rapper like that? Being around older people. Like, what was that even like? Just being young around older people like that.
Bro, listen, like I told you before, like it's funny, but like I always looked like this. Just I had mad hair back then, but I always looked way older. I always hung around older kids. Like if Boopy's still watching, he can attest to it. He's like years older than me, but like we were hanging around the same sort of crowd back in. I was always hanging around older people, so that was never really a thing to me, to be honest with you. But definitely like it was weird because I started off high school and like I was never one of like the popular kids in the beginning, right? And to be honest with you, like let me give you a little bit of context because Billings is a different school. Like it's a different sort of place, especially when I started because you got to realize you got the white kids, right? The regular fucking Pink Floyd light loving white kids. Then you got the black kids and you also got the native kids as well. So there was
Okay.
like this crazy dichotomy between three groups in my high school. And there was a point where not one of those groups liked me because I'm a white guy who quote unquote acts black and loves hip hop. And this was before like everybody was into hip hop. Like I literally grew up having to fight to be a part of hip hop, to rap hip hop the way that I did in the early days, right? But then it transitioned from, here's this kid who's just trying to be black or whatever to, but wait, no, he's actually talented. Like he can rap. He can actually rap. Like, okay, you know what? We fuck with him now because he can actually rap. And I kind of became that kind of helped me transition into the quote unquote cool kids group. So that was definitely a plus.
So if
You
we
know.
were to go back to like a teenage Tech, are you like what did you sound like?
It's you know what's funny? I'm gonna give you guys. I don't even know if I should give you guys this homework because it's kind of embarrassing. But my old ass SoundClick page is still there. I never deleted it,
Amazing.
and there's songs on there from when I was like 14, 15. Um, the funniest thing is I feel like lyrically I was better then than I am now, and I think that that's just a combination of being actively in school and like my brain always being on and the hunger. That's the one thing that I could never replicate. Like I feel like obviously I'm sharper as an artist than I was when I was 14 in terms of how I sound, but that raw primal hunger and love, you can never get that back. You know what I mean? So I honestly feel like I was nicer then than I am now. Lyrically anyways.
Are you sure you can't re-fall in love with it? You know, like rekindling an old flame, finding it in your
Nah,
soul.
because bro, there's a certain hunger that a 14, 15-year-old young man has, um, that you can't really recapture it as a grown man. I don't think that's just my opinion. I have managed to recapture a good portion of it with this last project and just building this studio in my house. And I definitely want to talk about that a little bit later
Yo,
on because there's a whole
trust, man.
story behind that.
Dog, don't even
But
worry. Like, I
but
want to
yeah,
go
no,
through it all.
honestly, I don't think it can be replicated. To be honest with you, at all.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of get what you mean a little bit as I getting older. I like to believe there's some way I can still tap into it, but I do also believe it could be a fool's fallacy. But still, it makes life fun for me. But it's so interesting the fact that we could get that. If I find that link, I'm gonna have to put that link in description. That's just what's up, so the people can do it.
I don't know
Probably.
if I want you to do that though, bro.
All right, all
You know
right.
what I mean? I don't know.
But I think it's cool because even whatever it might sound like, dude, this is like living history. How many people can even make that claim? It's fired, dude. You think Eminem likes the fact that it's like 87 freestyle? No, he hates that shit, but it makes his fans happy. It's that kind of nugget, dude. I would kill to have anything of me being 15 available for people, because that would be somebody who's invested in you, listening to that, being like, damn, look at that progression, because that's amazing.
For sure.
I think it would be dope. That's all I'm saying. You can find the final say. They can all Google it though. It's not that hard.
No, it's all good. I already said it, so if they want to listen, they will. It is what it is, bro.
Anyway, I certainly am curious because I love the idea of the transition, because I found some 2010 stuff. I found some 2012 stuff. I found that 2016 joint. You don't have a lot on Spotify I could find, which was It Is What It Is.
No, I don't. I'm kind of only getting on my Spotify shit these days, unfortunately. But yeah.
Don't you worry, we'll get on to that, because we still like in 2003 and shit, you know, back when you're out there. So you go through the whole high school process, and what's going on musically again? What's it like to be around these older dudes?
It was the time of my life, bro. What can I say? I'm 15, 16, doing actual shows that aren't at a high school, in front of real people, smoking hella weed, drinking hella liquor, having a good time. Like, bro, it was amazing. Like, I did my first video when I was like, we did the Things Done Change in 2007. But we did the videos before that. So I would have been like 16 maybe, doing full-fledged videos with like naked chicks, body painted, the whole it was crazy. It was like the best time of my life, other than like obviously having my kids and shit, but like it was the best time of my life, bro. You know what I mean? Like straight up and down. It can't be replicated, bro. It can't, you know?
That's fair. It does sound like the kind of thing that I don't know how much I would actually really want to go down that path at this juncture of my life, just for who I am. You kind of reminded me of Busy Bone. He tells stories and he'll be like, yo, there were mad hoes everywhere. And then he thinks about his wife and shit. And he's like, no, but that was
Yo,
then,
why you
and this
bring
is
up
now.
Busy Bone? You know that's like my favorite artist of all time, right?
It's not random that the Bone Thugs is on my mind. If anybody listened to your project and didn't have Bone Thugs on their mind, in my opinion, right, then they didn't listen to your project, okay? Like I ran out the room.
I like your style, HSR.
I swear, I ran out the room and I'm like, because, yo, we did that album review, right? We did the whole fucking Art of War, I think it is, right? And I think that's crazy. I don't remember who does the chorus. He does like every chorus on that project.
Crazy Bone.
And yo, because that we'll get there, but man, when I heard that shit, because, yo, I thought that was like, yo, we got to stop and talk about this for a second. I've been holding this in all fucking day, dog. So, like, that's the most tactic fucking dope shit I ever saw. Like, that's some OG shit in my opinion. So, if I'm wrong, whatever. But what I heard is you said, I'm going to come in with this melodic shit. And maybe there's going to be haters, because you know what it is. Old man is what it is. So, what did you do? You went back to King Melody, but the thuggish, ruggish motherfucking Bones, and said, look who did this shit. Shut the fuck up. And it was like, I felt the pimp hand being smacked out into the world with that little, like, we can't really sing anything like that because it could get us clipped. But like with that little just opening of the look into my eyes, tell me what it is. And I'm like, oh, because first of all, in my opinion, every true hip hop head that makes the art form has to do some kind of homage shit with their music. If there's not a little homage shit, you lose a point. And you started the album with a homage point. And you justified your shit. Dude, I geeked. I couldn't help it. That's that meta shit that it really would take a dude from a beat click situation 20 years to be able to, in like a line, communicate so much. In my opinion, maybe I reach a little bit, but I think it was deliberate, and I think you did all that on purpose, and that was some gangster stuff as far as I'm concerned, because that's how you do. Anyway, I've been holding that in all day. I just had to get it out like that. So,
bro, the thing you gotta realize, and we'll touch on it quick, and then we don't have to steer the direction.
We're gonna go right back to like you being 17 after that, but yeah, I would love for you to say it.
What I want to say about the Bone Thug thing in particular, first of all, that's like one of my top 3 biggest influences in life. Like as a musician, I was huge on Bone Thugs. Like anybody who knows me from high school knows. Like, bro, I was drawing Busy Bone on detention desks and shit. Like it was ridiculous to be honest with you, right? But people don't give Bone Thugs the credit that they deserve, bro. You got to realize this whole melodic shit. People think that like Drake and Future and T-Pain started it. Mm-mm. Bone started that shit in the 90s. And they got the same sort of criticism that a lot of us old heads give these kids today now. Because when Bone first dropped, you got to remember, nobody had ever heard that shit before. And there was no auto tune. So it just sounded how it sounded. And people were like, yo, this is not hip hop. What is this shit? What kind of beats are these? It's not mixed properly. Da-da-da-da-da. Like people hated on Bone. And then Crossroads dropped 130 million records later. Who's fucking with Bone Thugs and Harmony, bro? And they so even not only just the melodic, but if you listen to like the Migos, da 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 da, that's Crazy Bones flow. That's Flesh and Bones flow.
So I just have to interject because that's a hot topic on YouTube. That shit can get traced back to the 80s, and then independently, Lord Infamous, and then like they both come out and said they hadn't heard of each other. And independently, both Lord Infamous and Crazy Bone came up with that flow in '91. So we have just because I gotta be fair here. I just gotta be fair.
No, for sure. But listen, I'm gonna always side with Bone no matter what.
That's
so
fair.
Just know that I'm biased. I'm biased.
I'm just trying to be fair. But I love your passion, dude. I love the fact that you're saying all this because I think that lots of people don't give the credit that is due. And I reviewed Art of War. I think it is my favorite double disc hip hop project. I think it holds up with the beat productions. I think the hooks are proper. Okay, honestly, maybe a couple of the Mo Thug, whatever tracks aren't my favorite. They're not all my favorite. But, like, I found myself, like, honestly loving almost every track on that. So when you say that they deserve more credit, completely. When it comes to melody and shit, completely. Like, I don't know. I got into hip-hop late, so by then Bone Thugs is fucking famous. I mean, I discovered them when there's 3 of them in the group and they're dropping that, like, whatever album with Akon on them.
There's a whole lot of shit going on there, for sure, definitely.
But, I don't know. Currently, I brought up Busy Bone because he has a YouTube channel currently. I love it. It's, you know what Tea Spilling is? That's the makeup gossip channel stuff on YouTube. It's very fun to watch if you do get over yourself. This shit's big money. Every marketer should watch a tea spilling video here and there to get some ideas because they make all the money on YouTube. That isn't toys, so we should all learn from them. But anyway, basically, Busy Bone did that, and so he drinks wine, and he may as well be doing a makeup tutorial as he tells you all the stories of back in the day. And dude, it's fucking amazing. But all that because
damn, I gotta check that out.
Because you kind of a little bit gave me the Busy Bone story time vibe. And yo, listen, we watched that. Me and the we watch it. It's a fucking good show. It's worth it. It's Jam TV is I believe the name of it. And yo, he's got the fucking intro and his kids in it. It's fucking great, man. And then he just spills tea on a bunch of shit. Like tells all sorts of stories. And as your lady friend Bonnie popped in the chat, it's hilarious because the truth is, man, it's just fucking nuts watching him do it. But it's I love it. Anyway, just to say that's why I brought up Busy Bone, but also your lyric, so it was just fresh on my mind. So let's go back to you. Like, I guess high school runs out its course. You're wilding out. You finish high school. Obviously, you're like, fuck it, this rap thing's running. Do you run with that shit, or do you have jobs? Like, what's going on in your world post high school?
It was a mixture of both worlds because it's weird. I made this weird transition towards the end of high school from being one of the quote unquote bad kids, bad crowd type of guys to like all of a sudden wanting to take life super serious. So I went to like Dawson College, which ended up being a super blessing because there was a real healthy hip hop scene in Dawson College. Like I actually heard of and met Basics. I don't even know if he was going to fucking Dawson. Yeah, but he would come through because there was always like little ciphers and shit going on in Dawson, right? Like there was a daily thing, right? And I met Basics there. Like I said, I don't even know if he was going to Dawson, but he would just come hang out. I met Peso. I knew Peso beforehand, but Peso would always come through. Frost would be there. Like there was enough mans there, you know. Okay. So that was kind of cool. But
so you're saying,
in terms of the hip hop, like.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like I'm seeing Basics now. Basics gets these introductions like end of the world champion, flew over to fucking this place, world Quebec superstar, dude. And you're like, yo, I knew Basics back when we were like fucking 17. That's nuts, dude. If you really just, for those watching, I don't know. For me, I guess I'm connecting the dots of like who's history, who's there. Y'all need to look up these people. Basics is another one. who's supposed to
Yeah,
come through for
Basics
an
is nice,
interview.
bro, for sure,
He's
for
gonna be.
sure.
He's supposed to come through later in the year, actually, because he was trying to get a couple of things in order. So that's actually really cool that y'all had that history and connection and shit. Because I guess it makes me more impressed with you to know that that's who was sharpening your pen back in the day. Because we're not talking about weak MCs. We're talking about guys who I personally watched bust off the domes that would put people's ratings to shames. Right. So
Oh, for
like we're
sure,
not
big time,
talking
big
about weak
time,
shit.
big time.
So what was that like being at Dawson? What courses were
Well,
you taking?
I was in psychology, bro. I got a deck in
Yeah,
psychology actually to
yo,
this day.
straight up,
Yeah, man.
brag about that.
Yeah,
That's
man.
as cool as the fucking rap shit.
Yeah, I was on my scholarly shit, back then. But Dawson was cool, like I said, because especially because I grew up in Chattagee. Like I hung out predominantly in the city, but being from Chattagee, like I didn't get to make certain connections until really I started going to school in the city, and then all of a sudden I'm bumping shoulders with, this guy and that guy that I probably would have never fucked with because especially back then, and this goes back to me being an asshole to you back in whatever year that was, 2012 or some shit. Like I was a dick, and like because the thing is, I came up as like a battle guy, right? So like my whole thing was like, if you're around me and you say you rap, it's not like yo love, it's like oh yeah. All right, so yo, let's go then. Like that's how it was. It was a real competitive environment for me. That's how I was as an MC up until super recently. To be honest, I kind of had like I don't want to call it a spiritual awakening, but like I'm a different guy than I used to be, right? I've grown up. But yeah, so like I was just a super kind of aggressive type of guy. At the same time, I'm not really the most social person in the world, especially if I don't know you. I'm
Mm.
not gonna run up and yo, what's up? Nice to like I'm not that guy. I'm the ice grill, like old school type of character, right? So I was never really I wouldn't say I was really a big deal in Dawson at all, but I was on in terms of the music, my crew Famine, we were still doing our thing. We put out our first album, Things Done Changed, in 2007. We got voted number one in the city in the Montreal Mirror.
Yo, straight up.
We Yeah, bro, we were on back in the day.
Okay, we
Shout
gotta.
out to Don Smooth.
I
Shout out to
wanna.
Don Smooth. Back in the day, there was the Battle of the Tracks on K103 every week. We won 10 weeks in a row. Got our shit retired on K103. Famine, that was a big album in the city back in 2007. And I know like nobody remembers that shit, or like the younger crowd doesn't even know what I'm even talking about, the Battle of the Tracks on K103.
So let's
But
talk about
that was
that.
a
Let's.
that was a big deal back in those days.
So just so you know, Willie and Spades are still both with us. We were at 11 viewers for a minute. Yo, this shit's starting
That's
to
what's
get
up.
lit because that's the thing about Twitch is it takes a couple seconds to get the engines rolling and then people
Yeah,
see
that's
it
fine.
later
That's
on.
fine, man.
But honestly, I want to delve into some of this stuff more because I think people don't know what the grind was like, right? People see what the grind is like, and there's a whole lot. Apparently, as Willie's saying here, FBI Jedi's created the retirement after 10 weeks, so that's coming from Willie. I don't know about whatever. I just but tell us about the whole thing. We did 21 weeks in a row with Justice, is what he's saying. But tell us about this whole situation, right? Because, yo, like you said, people don't know what you're talking about. And I think people should know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, basically, so back in the 2000s, like if you were on the English side of rap in this city, like bro, Don Smooth held the keys to your success at a local level. Like basically everybody wanted to be played on Don Smooth show. Everybody wanted to get interviewed on Don Smooth show. And the biggest, most important thing was this battle of the tracks because it was a weekly thing where two tracks from two artists, Montreal based, obviously would go head to head and people would literally call up and vote, right? So Famine ended up winning 10 weeks in a row with Bounce, which we did a video for as well. And then we got voted number one in the city in number one album, number one rap album, specifically, obviously, in the city in 2007, just off of that whole
No, but you
momentum.
said it was the
Um,
mirror. And because I don't even think the kids today know what the mirror is because I
yeah, the
remember the mirror
Montreal Mirror.
crazy.
That was the Metro paper, the English one,
But
the
yo,
English devoir,
you got to
you know?
understand, it wasn't like low, it wasn't bullshit, right? Because like I have vivid fucking memories of like getting in the mirror, checking the fucking album reviews, actually caring. And it wasn't just me. Like yo, the mirror was never left in the stores, kind of thing. So when you
Yes.
say to me, it would be like MTL Blog honestly giving you number one, or Pop Montreal. It would be like,
Back in those days, yeah, for
it
sure.
is. So
For
I
sure.
just want the people today to have an understanding of the level of legend that is, because yo, dude, like it's humbling to be able to talk to you knowing the
Let
history
me
that I'm
show you though,
speaking
because
with.
I actually got the
Love
shit in
it.
my studio because I'm corny like that.
Yo,
But
let's
check
do
this
it,
out, right?
dude.
I don't know if you can see. Hold on, where we at here? Where's the
Uh,
camera at?
we definitely oh shit, I love that. We saw that newspaper clipping right there. That's amazing.
Hold on.
Hold
My
on.
shit is bugging right now. Give me
It's
a
all right.
second. Give me
We
a
got
second.
this. We're
There,
good.
there it is.
Oh my word. That's amazing, dude.
Old, old school things, you know?
Dude, that's incredible. Like I think that's the
Yeah,
kind of history that people should be aware of, because like it's why? Because like if too many people go on about how Montreal's never done this and Montreal's never had that and Montreal sucks and Montreal's talent this and Montreal whatever, and then I started talking to people like, yo, Willie Scandals is a big one, Spades is another big one. These are people who educated me a lot about history. Preacher and Kobe is another one. And as I talked to these people and I started digging through the crates, you get to a Shades of Culture. You can't listen to a Shades of
for
Culture,
sure.
that fucking album that they put out in like 99 or whatever. I'm blanking on the name. But yo, it's just ridiculous. You listen to that and you're like, holy shit, that's better than like almost everybody's project today. Like,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, maybe Montreal is dope. And it's just that like, and I had this epiphany. I feel like we're having our moment now, like the South in the 90s. Yo, it's like Montreal's got something to say. And that's why I think this
For
history is
sure.
important, because I want people to go back and realize we have 30 to 40 years worth of amazing and incredible music that exists, so that we can
Big
shove
time.
it down the faces of the haters and go, yo, we are dope. Stop complaining. We're just dope. Let's get together and show people. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so I fucking love what you're telling me, and I think it's dope knowledge. So, yo, I'm not mistaken. There was like freestyles and shit also on that radio station for the K103. Were you involved in any of that business?
No, not in the freestyles. I definitely dropped a 1-2 freestyle when I would go do like interviews with Don Smooth and stuff like that. But I never called in freestyle. But yeah, that was actually a big thing back then too. Was just like straight up calling. There was like a segment. I believe it was on Friday nights, if I'm not mistaken. And fucking Whoopi Willie Scandals will know if I'm wrong. But I think it was on Friday nights where you could literally just anybody could just call up and just freestyle. And if you were whack, he would just cut you mid sentence, just cut you on to the next. And that was fire too. That's a big part of Montreal history as well, definitely.
Yo, that's amazing.
Definitely.
So I'm pretty sure that currently Wednesdays at midnight they have a freestyle call-in show currently to this day. So I think it's
Oh,
crazy that shit in some way. So Wednesday on off the hook, Friday night K1037. So apparently, yeah, maybe that though there were two of them back then. I don't know.
oh, back then, okay. I'm like, there's no freestyle shit on K103 now.
Or yeah, no, that's
Not
back
that I
then.
know of.
Willie's answering your
Okay.
question, dude. You got real life people interacting with us, like we all fucking inside the room, only they're in the
But
chat.
was I right though about the Friday? It was Friday nights, right?
Friday night on K1037. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was Friday.
And then there was some Wednesday other shit. I don't know. That's okay. So you did a lot of that. So I think it's interesting how important radio used to be, because I never really consumed that radio, so I never heard any of this shit. I was listening to
It
99
was
on the buzz.
it was life. Because you got to understand the landscape. There was no social media, or social media was in its infant stages at this point, right? So like, bro, there was really like there was MySpace and shit, but like really and truly on a citywide level, there was no other platform to really get your shit heard. So like literally back then, bro, if Don Smooth liked your record and bigged up your record and played your record on a weekly basis, bro, the entire English side of the city who's interested in hip hop was tuned into that show every week religiously. So like you were getting your comeuppance off of getting played on his show. Like I don't think that he gets enough credit, to be honest with you, for what he did for the scene. And like when I was still on radio, I actually wanted to do like a whole show based around like just like not like a documentary, but like one radio show based around just giving the man his it never materialized, and that's a regret that I have, because I think that the man really deserves like big time shout outs for what he did for the scene back then, like for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I
Let me
think
switch to water here because this Red Bull's getting kind of crazy. Go ahead.
I think it's so interesting that you bring it up, and I say that sincerely. Like sometimes I have to process it a little bit because, I mean, I'm thinking a little bit about the todays, and I talk to the older cats and how important radio is. And yo, there's no DJ no more doing. And you hear this kind of mentality, and you know, I never understood why. Right? For me, I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
bro, Spotify this, Spotify that. Like I'm just like I'm on my modern tip for about music. I like all of my entire fucking. Yo, I would totally do that. Anybody link that? Spades was saying do a Don Smooth interview. Anybody link that up? I'm fucking down in a second, dog. Anything I can learn about anybody from anything is gonna happen because this is so important to me. Cause I don't know, but basically, I think understanding that so much of the gatekeeping of the English side of the city used to happen by radio explains why so many people totally feel a way about the situation. Yo, Willie, thanks. Willie said I'll get him for you. Yo, look at this, man. Tech, you get helping me book the next interview live on this interview. You're a wonderful gentleman. But
What I
yo,
do.
but like I didn't know any of that. Honestly, I really didn't. And I think it's silly that I didn't. And how important that used to be. And maybe there is something we can learn from that situation and rebuild it in this era if we understood the significance of this type of infrastructure in this time. So I think thank you again for just sharing all of this with us as you've been doing so far.
That's what I'm
So
here for.
how did it work with like actually making an album back then, right? Like tell us about like literally because you say that project went number one. There's got to be like a process behind creating it, and I would love to know more about your creative process in that time frame.
It was it was kind of like the infant stages of digital. What's that? And it's a vape cough, guys, or a smoking cough. It's not a COVID cough, so just relax.
Everybody sees
But
it,
yeah,
man.
so back in those days, that album was recorded over the course of like 2 or 3 years, and this was really at a time where digital audio workstations, DAWs, like digital recording, was really starting to come to fruition. Obviously, you had the early stages of Pro Tools, you had the Cubases. We actually recorded that whole album on. It's kind of fucking embarrassing, but we recorded that whole album on Cool Edit Pro, which was the early version of Adobe Audition. So this was like the free crack software. This was not no Pro Tools album. We recorded it entirely on Cool Edit Pro in Mo's apartment in the Plateau at the time. And over the course of 2 or 3 years, it was a 20 or 21 track album, and some of my most solid work to date,
So you're
produced
saying
entirely. Go ahead.
there was a huge nugget of fucking wisdom in there that we just gotta highlight. I'm gonna keep doing
Yeah.
this because you're too smart, dude. And I'm just saying it because I want everybody to catch it. Um, you said that it took 2 to 3 years to make a number one album. Yo, that's interesting. That were you releasing other stuff at the time, or like while you were
No,
working on?
it was solely a Famine thing at that point in time. It was me, Mo, and Midnight was who Famine was at that point, and it was just we were entirely devoted to that group. And like I said, it took 2 or 3 years just because the 20 cuts made the album,
No,
but
no,
there
no.
was
And I'm not.
probably 60, 70 songs that didn't, you know?
So why I brought that up is more to that point, right? Because
Yeah.
I think we're in an era where everybody's releasing everything, and it's debatable whether or not that's good. And I'm trying to figure out the right balance of how to release, what to release, this, that, the next thing. I don't know what's right or wrong per se, but what I can say from what you said is y'all took the time, and you know who else did this? Fucking Bone Thugs. They released recorded a fuck ton of music, clipped it down to whatever it is. Like we also did that Crazy Bone album, Thug Mentality, where we recorded like 80 tracks and only fucking like 2 discs came out or whatever. It was just all crazy. But the fact is you kind of followed that formula in a sense, where you recorded a whole bunch of shit and made the right album. That doesn't.
Yeah.
Were you like performing these tunes along the way, or was it all like
Big
locked
time.
in a vault?
We were doing shows back then, like I wouldn't say every week, but we were definitely doing like, at least a show a month
So
at that point, like nonstop.
were you like testing the material on crowds and then using that a little bit to?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like in the same vein that like a stand-up comedian will do it, where like he'll bring or she'll bring their set that they're working on to, you know, a smaller comedy club, a bunch of small comedy clubs, and kind of test it out and see what works and what doesn't. I mean, that's kind of how you could get the best. There's no feedback like in-person body language feedback, because you can lie over the internet and be like, yeah, this shit's hot. But if I see in your face that you're not feeling it, I know you're just being nice. You understand? So it's a whole different patois. Yeah.
I think that's super interesting, and that's something that we don't know how to do as much now. And when I say we, I don't include myself, because I know how to perform, but performing is different now in a lot of the minds of a lot of people. But one of the things that happens when I guess you stop, when you don't perform your material that's like unreleased like that, is you don't necessarily get the feedback. Now, I'm not saying everybody does this. Some people will play their unreleased material, do the whole run like that, but I question how many people actually go through that grind in some way or another and get real feedback. And just to big up what Willie Scandals' show does, because he has this show right now where you can send in the music before you would get to the point of releasing it. And
Yeah, yeah.
you get to put it in front of the audience and have it. And I personally, I'm like, no, man, it's in the vault until I'm going to release it. You know, that's how my head is. But as I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, maybe that's stupid. Maybe it's smarter to hear what other people think before we get to the point of adding sucking barcodes onto the fucking track. That's so interesting because, again, you got a #1 album, and that's definitely something that can never be taken away. Even if it's #1 in the mirror, I don't give a shit. That is a #1 something.
That shit was a lifetime ago though, but I still, it's definitely it was a proud moment. I can't lie.
A lifetime, dude. I don't care if it was 100 years ago. I can't even get to #1 on Reverb Nation, dude. I'm just saying, like, that's some shit. That's so impressive. So, when you said Famine Midnight, is that the It's Midnight guy, or is that somebody different?
No, that's him. Yeah, that's him. We were in Famine together since like 2000, and I came into Famine about 2004. I brought him in like 2005, maybe 2006, 2007, somewhere around. It's kind of all a bit of a blur, to be honest with you. But yeah,
That's
yeah.
fresh. I met him recently because he opened up a roti shop, and I cycled all the way to his crib to buy roti one time, and so that's
Okay, yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
To me, it's just
yeah.
crazy how small the world is. Cause yo, something I learned about you, cause I guess if 2007 somewhere in the next little bit of time is gonna be part of what I learned about you is. You're connected to the top-notch Traxes and the Peter Wests
Oh
and all
yeah,
of this shit,
big
right?
time.
So
That's one thing. Let me just cut you off for a sec, because that Things Done Changed album was produced entirely by Peter West, who went by Wire at the time, way
so
back in 2007.
I'm supposed to ask you somewhere around this point about what it was like with the MSN messengers and being like, yo, give me that boom, 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 ah, da, 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 na, 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 boom. And then you were saying, like, what? So tell me more about that. You're supposed to understand what the fuck that means.
No, I do, and it's funny. It's weird that you say that, because that was me and Wire's Peter West. So when I say Wire, just people know that it's Peter West, but he'll always be Wire to me, right?
Mm.
So me and Wire would communicate on MSN, and I would literally, like, he would send me a beat, and I would respond back with text like, "Yo, but in the hook, I need that dun 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 dun." And like, to anybody else, they'd be like, how am I supposed to know what sound that is supposed to be? But me and Wire had such a connection musically that he knew what the fuck I was talking about. And he would send it back 3 4 minutes later with exactly what I was talking about. So like, me and him always had this crazy chemistry, to where it was like, bro, there was a point where Wire could not make a beat that I didn't like. Like, everything he sent me was getting recorded on instantly. That's what it was. He actually produced my first solo album, Modern Day Lyricist, way back in 2008 as well, front to back. So yeah, we have a long history, me and him, for sure.
So basically, I just, for me, it's Peter West. Like, I mean, that's just how I know
Yeah,
the name.
Call him Peter West because he definitely doesn't want to be called Wire anymore, but he's Wire to me, whether he likes it or not. Shit.
That's fair enough. It is what it is. But because I've heard a lot of Peter West beats at this point, because that guy's a machine. If you don't know, you can buy beats off of Peter West to this very day right now, and you should.
Big
In
time.
fact, my
Big
dude
time.
copped a Peter West beat and has me featured on it, so that's my first Peter West beat. Peter West doesn't even know that, but my dude copped the beat, and it's fire, man. You hear it, and you're like, he does every style and shit. So I'm curious, like, I guess a little bit about influences at that point. What kind of sounds were you trying to create? So let's talk a little bit about what was the Montreal sound. What is the Montreal sound? Because that would have been when y'all were defining that shit.
Bro, like the thing about Montreal is we don't have a signature sound, and we never have had a signature sound. Montreal has always been all over the place. I could talk for myself and my group, Famine. We were always this group that was it. The cool thing about us was like Mo is half white and half native from BC. I'm obviously white.
Hold up.
Knight is
Something's
obviously
up
black.
with your audio. Hold up. Welcome back.
Yo.
Yo, that fixed it. That's dope. So, I mean, it's not dope, but it's dope that it fixed it.
Sorry, guys.
Nah, man, we can blame Google on this shit, right? Because what I believe just happened is you received some kind of latency buffing fucking issue because it's not yet used to handling this length of call because it's literal day one on this bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. They switched up on us day up.
But so yeah, I got all distracted. But yo, Willie Scandos
We were
says
talking about
Mo is
Go ahead.
half native and Midnight is
Midnight's obviously he's black, right? And I'm white. So the thing about Famine was that we brought three sort of sounds together. So our signature sound was that we were always able to straddle the line between straight up underground raw lyricism and very mainstream club bangers, girl tracks, whatever you wanted to do. Like we aimed to incorporate all aspects of it, so that if you were like a backpacker, hip hop nerd, lyricist type of fan, you got your fix. If you were into the club bangers, you got your fix. If you were into the weed songs, you got your fix, all on one album. So that was our sound. But in terms of like Montreal definitive signature sound, I really, to this day, don't think there is one, and I don't think we ever have had one. And I think that that's part of the problem in terms of why maybe Montreal hasn't gotten the national or international acclaim for our hip hop that we deserve. You know, so because I mean, like even to this day, like 90% of the artists out of the city straight up sound like they're from Atlanta, which I
would
don't get.
have to interject and go that there's like everything in this city. There's like
Oh, for sure.
when I'm saying everything, dude, it's actually really overwhelming. So like I said, I'm on my mission to like track it. Like I would ballpark it at like 5K is an active rapper count right now in that ballpark.
That's a lot, bro.
I'm not even that. If anything, I'm underselling it. But to be fair,
It's crazy.
I'm including 14-year-olds like you. Like you're proof to the pudding that the youth are in the conversation. There's this girl.
For sure, big time.
But also as far as sounds go, there's this girl Talia. You can find her at Talia MTL on all that shit. She just does everything, man. She can sing, she can rap, she can produce, she can mix, she can do some shit. This dude I interviewed, Hoshe, same kind of shit. So these kids is way more versatile than we've ever been.
They grew up with the technology. They have the advantage in that sense, man.
But even sonically, right? Because they grew up with J. Cole, Eminem, Lil Wayne, and everybody. They also have everything and everyone.
Kind of on the cusp of two eras, yeah, that's true.
So I'm like sitting there going, maybe we don't get to make the sound as much as these kids make the sound a little bit, and we get to kind of follow along a little bit. And I think it's interesting that your new album sounds the way that it does, even if we just go back to that, because it almost feels like you came to a similar kind of epiphany in your world where like...
Big time.
Where like, the fact is who in the fuck in their late 30s or mid 30s or anything? I don't know. I feel like you're early 30s.
Early 30s, man.
And I'm like, we're the same age. So like, I'm like, early 30s. I'm not that old. But we're not tastemakers. We might be skilled tacticians, but look at Run the Jewels. They ain't trying to fucking reinvent the wheel. They're making hot shit, doing what they do, but also making hot shit.
I'm glad you brought this up, bro, because this is actually something that I was kind of excited to talk about in the interview. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The new project is a complete departure from what anybody who knows my music is used to. And was that something that I thought about before I dropped it? Absolutely. I know that there's some people that were expecting, the bars and the punchlines and the similes and the metaphors and the wordplay and the this and the that, who are kind of like, whoa, he went a completely different direction. But the thing is, that I've had this epiphany within the last couple of years, right? Which is that, and being in radio really kind of changed the way I looked at things, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
Because for the longest time, bro, I was the quintessential fucking guy. Like, this is not real hip hop. If you listen to this guy and that guy, just know that you're listening to fake shit. It's not real hip hop.
Oh,
Like, I was the
man.
guy that, but yo, bro, you know what I realized, and this is what changed it for me, right? Is that who wants to be the guy at a party or at a club telling everybody what they should and should not be listening to? Yo, bro, you know who that guy is? The guy that nobody at the party wants to talk to, right? The guy that when he comes around and starts his shit, everybody's like, yo, get this fucking guy away from me, bro. I'm
Gosh.
not here to have you teach me about the roots and of the culture and what is real and not real hip hop. Like, bro, we're just here to have a good time. Fuck off, right? So that kind of really was something that changed my view on it, because I don't want to be that annoying guy on Facebook always complaining about what's real hip hop and what isn't. Let me explain something to you about hip hop. Hip hop started off as, is, and will always be aimed at youth culture. You want to know what real hip hop is? Go into the locker room of a football team of young urban youths. Whatever they're bumping in that locker room is hip hop. Whether you
Ooh.
like it or not, that's what hip hop is, and that's where it's going. And so my whole thing with this project was, one, the and excuse me if I'm rambling, you know what I'm saying, but
No,
one,
keep going.
the
Ramble.
the topics the topics on this project mean a lot to me. Like, it was a project where I got a lot of things off of my chest. I shared a part of, I feel like, my story that I never really shared in past music. Like, I got really personal on this project, right? And part of that is growing up and having kids and being a full-fledged adult. But part of it is also
Yo, hold up.
in terms of phonetically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we're good. It just clipped for a second. It's all good. We're going to have some buffers here and there. It's okay. We'll keep going. Hold
Well,
up.
love. I hope you guys are still with me. But so basically, sonically, I wanted to embrace where the culture is going and where the music is going. And right now, it's a digital sound. The digital sound is the wave. I don't want to be one of these 35-year-old, 40-year-old rappers holding on to a bygone era. That's not what I want to do. I want to still be able to flex my lyrical ability, but make it sonically pleasing
Yo,
to a casual
so,
listener as
so,
well. And
so,
that's what I was trying to do.
so, man, there's so many things to comment on in that. So many fucking tangents, but
Yeah, that was a rant. I
I
know I
loved
ranted
it.
on that one,
No,
but
dude, that's why you're here, man. I mean, I can rant for days too, but like honestly, that's why you're here. And that's why they're watching, because that's what's interesting is to hear the man behind Tek Luciano. I mean, every other interview is gonna ask you the same boring questions. I want to ask you like whatever the fuck is flowing as I'm sitting here smoking doobies, like it's vibing. But yo, I was listening to the third track, and I'm
yeah,
like, he dropped fucking like 4 lines just to be like, I can still rap. It was like
for
four.
sure.
It was like
Have to.
four
Yeah,
lines. That was it.
have to.
And I was like, "Oh, it's so well done." And because it's a good. It was a good movie. You still had like the little sassiness, is I think what the kids are. Like I had this 25-year-old on my thing the other night, and he was melodic singer rap is how he would describe it, and I like that way better than mumble rap. Melodic singer, because nobody's mumbling. Fuck off. Okay, I can clearly hear everything Lil Uzi Vert says, so he's not
Yeah,
mumbling. Um, but melody's cool. Oh, part of it is I learned to sing a little bit, and all of a sudden melody got cool. And I wonder how much of the haterism is that they can't sing, and so they actually
yeah,
have to use auto tune. And when you go live, you can't do the chorus now. So like, I wonder how much of it is that. No shots at
yeah.
anybody. I'm just pensive, right? Because as I was able to unlock some range, I was like, yo, fuck that. Let's start adding melody everywhere. And then I was
Why
talking.
wouldn't you?
And I'm like, because, yo, my girlfriend and I were having lots of conversations about my music. And here's the truth. she doesn't like it that much. And it's not because it's bad. It's because of what the fuck I rap about. And that's fine. A lot of it is therapy for me. But I had to accept, who the fuck wants to really go out on a Friday night and watch mans rap up? Because I wrote an album about being a corporate employee. It's, in my opinion, a good piece of like concept art. You might not feel me on it, but I think I did a decent job at the concept level. And it should express what it's like to be in middle management in a corporate America. And then I realized, who wants to hear that album? And that was like a big, like, oh, I gotta think that through. Nobody kind of wants to like listen to music that's gonna go right back to the office place. And that's nobody's fantasy. It's just my therapy. And that was a huge epiphany. And then I realized this next thing. I'm trying to start performing again. Who the fuck's dancing to my shit? And I'm like, oh, shit. You can't dance to like anything. Next thing you knew, I wrote a song called Lose Weight. It's lose weight, fuck her great, get in shape, and it's boppy. And I'm like, this is the future. Dude put auto-tune on, he snuck it in. I left it in. We just kept it. I was like, what am I going to do? It sounded better. It sounded sassier, easier to listen to.
That's the evolution, though. That's the thing, is like, you can fight it if you want, but there's one battle that no human being has ever won and will never win, and it's the battle against time. You can't beat Father Time. None of us can. Bro, we're all mortal at the end of the day, and the evolution of hip-hop music and culture falls into that category as well. It's gonna change. It's going to change. It didn't sound the same in the 90s as it did in the 80s. The 2000s sounded different, and now it's some would argue it's an entirely different genre in and of itself than it was back in the 90s.
But it is different than the 90s, but the 90s was not hip-hop in its inception. The 90s is an evolution.
That's what I mean.
So if you really want to go back to hip-hop, everyone has to understand that the fact is the kids are more in touch with 80s hip-hop than 90s. Wait, which is the originals? Oof, nobody really wants to have that chat, but the kids actually seem like they went back to the originals because the kids actually care about production. And I would argue that that's a huge difference. They all understand this shit. Everybody's a fucking DJ now. Everybody understands this world now. And I mean everybody as in kids, because why wouldn't they be? They have nothing better to do with their fucking time, and it's all accessible for $2.99 on your fucking phone.
It's, at the end of the day, hip-hop is marketed to 12 to 18. The secondary demographic is 18 to 34. But the primary demographic that hip-hop is marketed to, much like pop music, is the teeny boppers, bro. And if you look at the evolution of the culture, it's kind of come full circle, because in the very beginning, when hip-hop was first conceived, what was it? It was rock the party music.
Exactly.
Hip hop, a hippie to the hip hop. You don't, bro. There's nothing lyrical miracle about that shit. Nope. All the backpackers are losing their minds right now because there's no intricate lyricism involved in that shit. It was party bopping.
And let's be real. You know what the dude said to me? Girls listen to my music. And you know what happened at those parties? Girls were at the parties dancing. And let's be real, doesn't it? So I actually went to this fucking show a couple last year before all the bad stuff happened this year, and it was like 10 ladies rapping, and it was just like, it's a room full of women, and there were no dudes there because I guess dudes don't want to go to a show full of women. And I'm like,
dudes don't support, period, bro. That's just what it is.
But like, I was baffled. I'm like, yo, if any of you are single, there are thirsty, and a couple of them told me that there are never men at their shows, and sometimes female rappers get off stage and, you know, feel a certain way, like, you know, maybe your male stereotypes feel, and they look around the crowd and there's never any men there. So go support your female rappers, dude. Maybe you'll get.
So I need to get to some more shows. That's what I'm saying right now.
I'm just saying it. Like, we all got to get to more shows when it happens and support it. Yo, one other thing about the girls, all 10 of them came ready with the bars, able to spit over the proper beats, and had every one of them. I was like, I'd never been to a show that prepared. Now, listen, I'm actually of a point of view where, depending on your music, your show might actually be about turning up. And if your show's about turning up, fair enough. Don't rap, dude, because that's pop music. And Britney Spears fucking lip syncs and shit. So, like, maybe not always. So, like, I can accept that there's a performance art and maybe not spitting over whatever. But if you're supposed to be a spitter, in my opinion, spit over.
I agree. 100%.
I just to go up to the lady rappers in Montreal that I seen, like Serenity is like a bang out one if you want to check her out. She's fucking
Yeah, no,
fire.
she's nice. She's nice for sure.
She was at
For
that
sure.
show as an example of the quality level that was there. Anyhow, back to you. I don't know. I kind of went all over the place, but yo, your album gave me feels. Yo, I was feeling
And I
shit,
did
dog.
my job. I did my job, bro.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. It was that second track. So the first track, whatever, I couldn't hear your words because I was too into your flow and melody. And this is a problem I have with melodic rap sometimes. I don't listen to it in the same way. It just is so nice. But I was listening to Canada, where frankly I thought you said I'm Canada for like a second, and then I realized you said I'm Canada. So I don't know if that's on purpose, if that was a homonym that you put there.
Nah, it wasn't. It was probably just the auto tune was a little too high, to be honest with you.
But it's
You know,
cool because it's like I'm Canada, I'm Canadian. It's kind of how it comes off, so I like that. But as I listen to that track, dog, there is some personal shits you got into, man. But what I loved about it is you broke your heart out. I mean, it's all on wax, but you brought up, you know, trying to fight over custody battles with your son, you know, trying to deal with some real growing up shit that many humans deal with, and the pain, you know, and the dichotomies of trying to get your shit in a certain direction while simultaneously feeling this way. And you know what, dude? I feel the way you feel so often on this album. Every day of my life, I wake up and I'm like, yo, sometimes it's hard to fight the battles and to go through it. I love the way that you just kind of, I just really felt the emotion. And I'm like, yo, you know what's real grown man shit? Emotions. And actually, as I'm watching all these grown men do the battle rap thing in excess in these contests, I'm like, yo, I don't know. It just feels weird in 2020. It feels like what you did here shared me a lot of your soul. I don't want to go through all the bars because I can't remember them, but I remember just it hit, and I kept catching these little lines, 2 lines, and you would just share like almost a whole story worth going into. Like I mean, Charles, that's not the right story. I totally want to talk to Natasha Marie, so I don't want to go too much over that.
yeah. But I also want to clarify something about that particular line as well, because I don't want to put false narratives out there. There was never actually no crazy custody battle between me and her and the kids and stuff like that. We're on really good terms. Like, we're doing the co-parenting thing, and I'm not gonna get too much into the personal aspect of
Yo,
my
I
life,
just
but
have to say,
I don't. No. But I'm just saying it because I don't want to paint her in like a bad
no,
light at all.
yo, she said
You
the
know what I'm saying?
exact same thing about you the one time I met her, and I was like, yo, weren't you with Tek? She's like, yeah, co-parenting, we fucking killing it. And it was like a point of pride. So
Yeah,
you should be bragging about how
yeah.
you killing that co-parenting shit, in my opinion. And I didn't mean it
Facts.
like that. But even if it's, yo, because it's art, right? It's not necessarily the Tek Luciano story exclusively. It's also the generalized relate to me version of it, right? You're going to tell
But
me that,
that's really what I was going for, to be honest with you. And like, at this point in my life, I'm not interested. Like, listen, as a lyricist, I proved myself 15, 20 years ago. I don't feel like I need to revisit that. Like, trust me, I'm gonna revisit it. You're gonna hear some bars in the next little while just because. But I don't feel like I don't have that chip on my shoulder anymore, because I feel like I've proven myself in that regard, right? So right now, like, what I want to do with my music is make music that people can relate to. And like, honestly, by maybe commercial standards, this project may not have been a success commercially, but I've had 10 or 15 different people hit me up and say exactly what you just said, which was that either Count It Out or Short Days, Long Nights hit them in a certain spot in their soul and just help them get through something or whatever it was. And like I said when you initially brought it up, if I could do that for somebody, then I feel like that's a win, and I've done my job correctly, you know? So I'm super happy with that, bro.
but yo, on top
Super
of
happy.
that, there's a thing about wordplay that's shitty, right? Now, I had this epiphany recently. Stand-up comedy, right? Like, how many times can you really watch the same thing? I mean, yeah, sure, if you're 20 on YouTube over and over again, fine. But how many times you really gonna watch that stand-up hour and a half special? Like, really watch
Well,
it?
I mean, I could watch Bill Burr shit over and over, but that's just
Sure,
me, you know?
but that's like your favorite rapper. What about all the other ones? You watch it like one time and
Yeah,
you dip. So the
yeah, for
problem
sure.
with punchlines is you get the punchlines, and then you hear the bar again. And for me, I'm like, okay, I got the joke. It was good. What else is there to this? Oh, okay, nothing. With your album, because I know maybe some people don't feel that way, but I could see myself really replaying it, not just like fake replaying it. What I mean
Yeah,
is like, yo, like it just has a vibe. It really like, but it's also mature. Like, I don't really want to listen to men going on about fucking hoes and doing drugs and shit. I kind of want to listen to men feeling pain and finding the will to like keep producing music. Yo, I think you start your third track like, yo, if I could just hit up the studio and make another song, and like you basically like start it in that kind of frame of mind, like, yo, there's a point to this. And I don't know, man, for me, this is like, yo, I wish we all did more of this actually, because here's the thing, if we went to a show and we performed this in front of kids, they might like it. And that's what's extra cool about what you did. So what commercial success is a weird concept when even the celebrities aren't selling. Okay, just to like throw it out there. Like, have you actually looked at Billboard? By number 10, you're in sometimes the 7,000 sales range by number 10.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
it's crazy.
I saw you at 52 listeners, and I don't think you paid for them. You killed it. No. That's hot. That's hot if you didn't pay for those 52, dude. That's hot. I'm not like super hot.
I'm not out here paying for listens, man. It defeats the point, you know.
But the fact that 50 motherfuckers took the time, and this is like, I'm not even in that. I didn't even listen to your shit till today. That's yesterday's numbers. 50 something fucking people, and that's just Spotify. That's not including everywhere else.
Not to brag, and not that it's any better, but I'm at 142 on my little artist app. You know what I'm saying? But still, it's still, you know what? It's not maybe the reception that I would have gotten 10 years ago because I was super active. But like I said, I've had numerous people hit me up and just say that like the songs touch them in their soul. And, you know, if you're going through anything, any sort of like mental illness or just a shitty fucking part of your life, bro, if the music can make you feel something, even if you're not going through it and it just makes you feel something, then again, I feel like I did my job. And that's what I was really going for. Because to touch on your point earlier, like, bro, I'm so off
Spades
of this,
wants to just let you know he downloaded that shit. He can't even help it. It was that good.
That's what's up. I appreciate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you owe me $2.99 though. I'm just joking. It's all up. But nah, like I'm so off of like the braggadocio fucking like, dude, listen, at the end of the day, I'm a 32-year-old father with a 5 and a 3-year-old, right? Like, before I'm an artist, before I'm Tek Luciano, when I wake up in the morning, I'm daddy, you know? So I'm not here. I'm not like, I feel like, okay, this is where I'm going with it. I feel like a lot of the artists, not only in Montreal, but there is definitely an epidemic of this in our city, but all over. A lot of people are delusional. A lot of people are fucking delusional. You guys think that, you know, you're already a celebrity. You know, you go on Facebook and you say, "Yo, my thing's dropping next week. Like, comment, share. Make sure you go cop that." And it's like one like, crickets. And like if you look at the way even that I'm choosing to promote this album, I'm coming at it from a super humble perspective, because I don't think I'm a superstar. I don't think that I'm quote unquote somebody. I don't think that I'm above the listener because I'm an artist. Like, you know, I'm coming at it from a perspective of, guys, it's been 8 years since I dropped a body of work, and I would super fucking appreciate it if you guys listen to this and take this in, because it's an integral part of my story. You know what I mean? So just the way I'm promoting it is different. And I think that at my age, bro, like, how the fuck do I look rapping about hoes and selling drugs and popping guns and like, bro, you're serious? Like 90% of you guys rapping about this shit are not doing it, bro. Tell me I'm bugging. Listen, I know a lot of the artists in the city, and I'm not gonna name names and shit on anybody, because that's not. Please don't,
because otherwise they'll like be like, fuck behind that suit. I'm trying to keep it all like not.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I'm not here to start shit with people, but what I'm saying is that a lot of people who are rapping about certain things,
we can totally spit the philosophical level of this shit too. But also, listen, if you're 24, 25 and you're spitting that shit and it's fake, I'm okay with that. That's a 25-year-old man fantasy shit, and you should be allowed to spit your fantasies, in my opinion.
I guess.
And I just want to throw that in there, dude. Like, maybe on that level of shit, something I've been like pondering is fantasy versus reality. I'm not necessarily that interesting in my music because of numbers, but I noticed that like my Facebook paragraphs are getting love. like fans. It's weird. Dude. It's weird because like
Big time.
people will like come up in real life sometimes and like in real life hit a comment button, give me a diatribe, hit enter, and then walk away like it's a comment section when they talk to me. It's kind of cool, but like it might not be what I want, but what it is, I have these fucking wonky opinions and shit, and I'm all over with it. But it's all relatable. It's all whatever it is. I kind of got distracted there for a second, but like you kind of get the realization that accessibility matters, and that part of what people like about me is I read a lot of books and I'm getting into shape, and I'm in a relationship for like 6 years that isn't miserable, and somehow I'm also putting out albums that you're not listening to, but I'm making them. That's part of the fantasy. I'm making videos. That's part of it doesn't matter if they listen to it. They look like I get with not to like flex, but similar content to what you get. People say things like that to me. It's fucking humbling. But it made me realize maybe that's the point of being an artist, right? To live a life and to put out an energy that makes people like feel positive. Like, yo, I can't even lie, man. It fucked me up how much people are so receptive to like being that kind of way. And you know what it is? It's reading the era. It's not 2000 anymore. The world is in a weird fucking place. People kind of want to be humans now. And I think what you did was so human, dude. I loved every second of that. But it wasn't... Let's just not act like you haven't had more stuff appear on your Spotify in 2020 that is also in line with this. But what I thought was fascinating is as the tracks went out, it's like you embraced the auto-tune more.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because it's a weird transition. Like, to be honest with you, dude, like I recorded the other songs, two of the other songs that I put out earlier in the year by Sky. And like Sky, for those who don't know who Sky Beats is, one of the most fire producers in the city, one of, if not the most wicked engineer in the city, along with Cali. You got Throw Buds in there too, but Sky to me as a producer is just on a level where I don't even understand how he's not a multi-millionaire at this point. But anyway, I digress. And we kind of were having this interaction where he was like, dude, you need to embrace the digital sound. Like you do it well, so just embrace it. And I was kind of like, I don't know. People kind of know me for the bar shit. And then when COVID hit, I built this studio in my house, the one I'm sitting in right now. And bro, honestly, I could tell you with 100% honesty, I did not touch a pen or pad for that entire project. My creative
are you still with me?
Completely changed.
Okay, no, we're good. Keep going.
Yeah, my creative process has completely changed. I get the beat, I throw it on, and I throw the auto-tune on, and I just catch a harmony, catch a melody, and I just run with it. And that's how the songs are created at this point. I'm not writing this shit. This shit is really coming from the soul. Like I call it catching a spirit. I'm catching a spirit in my house, bro. I'm here in my drawers, a Guinea t-shirt, and a hat, singing my heart out. Like my neighbors probably think I'm crazy, but fuck it, we here,
So there's a lot what you said that's wise. And why it's wise because, like I said, I'm on this mission like a scientist to like dig through it all. And the pocket. Let's talk about the pocket. You might be in the pocket spitting bars at a high velocity, and you may be in the pocket dropping heavy punchy shit. But when you're in the pocket doing that smooth melodic stuff, you're more accessible. That's why most pop music has singing and not hard hitting. That's why Big Sean kind of rap does so well on the charts. It's because it's really only a minority of the world that really wants that hard shit in the levels that people might think they do. They're just a loud majority on the internets. That would basically be the thing. Is like an example of perspective, because I don't think everyone in the world always has perspective of the internet. Something like 10% of the people on Twitter make all the noise, right? So that's 90% of people are just lurking, like most people are lurking. That's just kind of what it is.
I'm a lurker still. I'm not going to lie. I'm a lurker, bro.
But like, I guess what I'm saying is at the end of the day, people kind of like have vibes. And yeah, there's a time and a place for hard-hitting shit, but you're going against Eminem in that category. That's just the facts. Like, you people have to remember that. Eminem's still in the conversation. Joyner, Logic. I mean, you don't like these people.
You got to say Royce the 5'9".
I was next. It was literally next to it. Allegory is up for a Grammy, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Allegory?
Is it really?
It's up for a Grammy, dog. It's up against Freddie for fucking Alfredo and 3 other albums I didn't care about. But I review both those
That's what's up.
motherfuckers.
Finally, bro.
And yo,
Finally.
Book Orion. Oh my gosh, dude, that was album of
That's
the
my
year.
favorite album.
Album
bro.
of the
That's my
year
favorite
that
album
year.
in the last 10 years.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
time,
dude,
big
that's
time.
just that song where he's bouncing the ball like, and it's just so upbeat and positive in the midst of the chaos.
The whole album is crazy.
Oh.
The whole album.
So yeah, anyway, that's cool. I'm happy we could share that moment of geeking over Royce. But yeah, Royce would be but you're in that kind of ballpark. Just everyone has to remember that when they're going, why is nobody clicking on my shit? And I'm like, because you're sharing space with M. I don't know. What are any of us doing that's different? These are things I've been challenging myself hard.
It's also the oversaturation, though. It's the oversaturation is the biggest thing. And like, that's the hardest thing as an artist these days, because you got to look at it from two angles. There's the angle of theoretically it's easier than ever before because social media gives you the direct to consumer vibe, right? You can cut out the middleman and access your fan base. And I do that in air quotes because there's a lot of guys out here who have imaginary fan bases. But anyway, that's another conversation. You can access your fan base directly, but at the same time, so can everybody else. And everybody else is millions of artists, millions of undiscovered artists. So yeah, I dropped my shit last Friday, but how many other millions of artists dropped something last Friday? So now you're competing with millions of people to just for a listen. Just for a listen, bro.
And yo, if there's 5,000 people here, how many rappers in Canada? And now we gotta add Mad Child in. We gotta add in fucking Mercules. You did a song with Mercules. Tell people about how you worked with Mercules and how that came to be. That's some fun, good.
You know what? The story is not as maybe mystical as people would like to think. Mo, the guy that I was in famine with, he was actually on tour with Merc for like a year or some shit like that, and they did the song I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or some shit like that, and then Mo just emailed it to me and was like, yo, I need a hook on this shit, and I was like, yo, say less, I got you. And I slapped the hook on it, we shot the video, and that was that. I mean, I would love to say that, yo, I was in the studio with the man doing this and that, but I wasn't, unfortunately. But we'll get there, I think.
Yeah, facts, one day. And I say that because you're willing to adapt, and that's super important. And I think it's going to bring me to the next point is something you said is interesting. The imaginary fan base comment, I relate to what you mean. But the fact is the more interesting part is you can reach out to your fans. Do you? How many people reach out to fans? Do you think?
You know what? I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not the most social person in the world. Like, I'm really not. I'm not. You could probably tell by my level of social media engagement. Like, I'm not really a guy that's on social every single day.
Can we hit pause?
Like,
you dropped the Accessible album and you're on the Twitch feed. You're learning.
Yeah. Well, you're right, but I mean, would I be if you didn't reach out? That there within lies the question, my friend.
But you were willing to.
I'm telling you straight. I'm really not a social. The older I get, the less social I think I'm becoming. So I posted,
yo, who wants to join a Montreal Hip Hop Among Us game? He said, I'm in. So I'm just saying, like, you are showing open-mindedness at a level that you got to give yourself a little bit more credit, in my opinion. Because, dude, I see you making that effort. I saw you posting your posts. I saw you letting people in. I saw you care. Like you said, people reach out to you and talk to you about your project. And the reason I bring that up is because my literal day job is community management and social media. It's not like, I guess, I actually, like, I can't go into a lot of details often because it's all software shit. But let's say I get to look at places where 200,000 fans exist, and it's like, okay, your 2,000 views is boring. Like, nothing on my YouTube channel is interesting, even by the numbers I'm accustomed to in my day job. So I look around and I see a lot of things. But what I realize is the whole youth is connected to their people, and they're on multiple avenues. They're influencers that make music. They're not just musicians. And that's a huge epiphany I had, right? It's not to say that influencers should go make music. It's that all the young people are just influencers because that's the only way to make it now in the music-y land. And I look at the older cats and I'm like, okay, let's rebrand the word influencer because we're old. Let's call it thought leader. That's what influencer really means. Why? Where's our thought leader game at? Where's all the people connecting with the peoples, with the vlogs and the rants? That's where I'm at with it. Because I think, would you be open to pursuing avenues like leveraging technology to create those kinds of connections with your fans?
Sorry, I just had somebody call me like 4 times on Facebook. Um, can you just repeat that question? Sorry, buddy.
No worries about it. I was kind of going on about, technological advancements and people not leveraging tech properly to actually create meaningful
Okay.
connections. They don't.
Right.
They don't actually do it. And I can like prove that with a real life example of how little people are in touch with the fans. Not so
Yeah.
like anyway, I got theories about some shit, but like I'm not talking about the circle jerker rappers. I'm talking about fans. There's people who appreciate the
Right.
music, right? Like, does anybody really talk to them? Like, when you look at Merker Miyagi's Facebook post and it's lit, tell me how many of those people are not connected to music. They're all fucking.
True.
You go look at all of our posts, and how many of you, not you, but like, how many people are actually not connected to music in these posts? They're not fans. They're peers.
It's true.
We're friends, which makes sense.
It's
It's
true.
Facebook. They're our friends. That's the point of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're not fans. So would you be willing to pursuing more like vloggy stuff, things that fans care about, that they want to get connected to, they want to be on your journey with you? Would you be open to pursuing
Yeah.
those kinds of stuff?
I would be super open to it. To be honest with you, like that's not a part of the business that I necessarily ever. Not to say that I didn't embrace it, but I'm just not very schooled in that area, right? So I mean, like if you could drop some gems on me, then I'd definitely be willing to pursue follow the lead on that.
Yeah.
And really anything to grow any sort of engagement is I'm open to at this point, because the last thing I want to do is drop music for me and a close group of friends to listen to. I mean, that's great, but obviously that's not the goal, right?
And I just
So
I
yeah,
just
I'm
want to
open to
make
it.
it clear, this isn't meant to imply that there aren't people making moves, doing super interesting things. Like some people doing their ghostwriting game, some people have hustles, some people make beats. Like I'm not trying to imply anything about anything. I'm
Yeah,
saying that I
yeah,
think sometimes we get really like into this idea of trying to impress our peers more. And I bring up the live show. So you're an interesting person to ask a question to. How does it sound to go perform at Friday night at 11 p.m. start time? Does that sound fun to you?
at this age, hell nah, bro. Like maybe like 5-10 years ago, yeah, but now nah, bro.
Let
I'm
me
not
ask
doing
you
that.
another question. Let's say you really felt somebody. Would you put up $20, $30 to buy a shirt? You really
I
felt.
would absolutely 100%.
Oh, did y'all hear what I just said? Would you, a guy who's willing to buy a shirt, go to a show that starts at 11? Answer was no. People don't ask questions like that. And I'm being
Nah, but
facetious,
you're
I guess,
dropping
because
gems.
I'm feeling
You're
like the
dropping
vibe.
gems.
This is what I want my channel to be. I don't know that I'm trying to make friends. I'm trying to share knowledge. And if I'm wrong, I encourage anybody to call me out for it. I encourage you to jump on this fucking very Twitch and let's hash it out. I've heard amazing
Yeah,
arguments for charging artists. I've heard amazing arguments for not charging artists. I want to have the knowledge out there, let the people decide a little bit, and throw my opinion in for sure. But I could be wrong. But I'm 33. I just turned it. It just happened, and I make
happy
above the.
birthday, bro.
Thank you. I make above the average salary in Canada. I bought an OTR hoodie and I bought my dude an OTR shirt with Michael's face on it because fuck it. I was trying to floss that I had money and I was like, I can buy your merch, motherfucker. I'm going to buy a Travis Bryant pillow when I can afford it because I'm no longer quite. It's COVID, guys. We are not quite the same level of balling. But
That's
maybe
a fact.
some of y'all might be, but if you're wise, you're a little more conservative. But you know what? The thing is I realized, okay, I could put out a merch line, and who do I want at the show? I don't really know that I want people who are gonna. This is just being selfish as a rapper, but like I don't think the Wu-Tang wanted people to go buy at the drink bar as much as they wanted them to buy at the merch bar, right? Think about
Well,
it.
for sure.
So like, I'm like, why do we not throw shows that start at 6, 7? And then you hear a lot of artists feel a lot of way, a lot of people who have the established way of doing things, and it works for them, and that's amazing. But I'm trying to be like, let's get corporate America's money, dog. Let's stop charging each other. Let's get corporate America money in there. How do we get corporate America money? Look at Jazz Fest. Do you think Jazz Fest starts at 11? Jazz Fest gets corporate America money? I put that into one of my contest shits. I'm never gonna win this stuff. I'm just there to spit, man. That's what I'm on this knowledge kick, yo. And I could be wrong, and I'm a little bit high, so
Hey,
I'm
you
running
never
my
know,
mouth.
though, bro. You know what I'm saying? You never
But
know.
I just every time I bring it up to a lot of artists, they try to tell me about what they know. But you know what happened? I was a fan at a lot of shows, and I performed a lot back in 2012, back when we actually had people showing up, back when it was 80, 90 people. And I have some evidence to prove that shit on videos. And you know what happened at 12 o'clock at every single show at every single one of these times? Half the shit would clear out, and headliner performed it. I was always opener. Because I was the new guy. Yo, I had the best slot every fucking show. So I got great footage at every fucking show. It was amazing.
You're absolutely right, bro.
And how come, like, nobody, like, yo, Kicking It Live Festival, Willie wants to set up some shit to, like, make some smart choices. That's an amazing idea. Y'all should check out what he does there. I'm just shouting him out because he's still watching, and we should shout him out because we are at an hour and 45 minutes in, and Willie's still with us. Fucking big ups, Willie Scandals.
Big up, Bubs, man.
Yeah, so, like, just the idea, like, right, what I'm hearing you say is you're not thinking on that tip of, like, the old man kind of, like, rigid way of doing shit, you know? You're a lot more flexible and open to, like, just, I don't know, new stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But one thing I want to come back to on the show thing is that one of the problems
that's what we were talking about.
with
I got distracted.
yeah. But no, it's all good. But one of the problems with the local shows, right, is that a lot of these guys who are putting the shows together don't understand one really important, super basic sociological concept, right? Which is that you're putting 15 acts on the same bill. Bro, listen, I'm a Hove fan, okay? If Hove's show was 4 hours long, I'm leaving at intermission. I probably would stay because I'm a super Hove fan, but you get what I'm trying to say. Bro, nobody is sitting through 15-minute sets. Like by the third or fourth act, I've already smoked my 8th cigarette, my 4th joint. I'm tipsy and I'm wondering what's popping in the club right now. I'm not trying to stay, bro. I'm not trying to stay at Blue Dog until 3 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like, and watch. Like, it's just the thing you need to understand is build your show around 2 or 3 acts tops, and give those acts the time to really put together a crafted set, a choreographed set, not just a bunch of dudes with their whole entourage on stage and sunglasses on trying to look really cool. Like, get artists who are really serious about choreographing sets, putting them together, and focus on 2 or 3 acts for the entire show. Let them have a 20-30 minute set tops, and then let the DJ spin music for the rest of the night. So that way, by the time the show's over, we're all ready to party. Music comes on. We got a bar right here. There's already people here. We don't need to go nowhere else. People don't understand this concept. Bro, if you're doing a show at a venue, number one rule is the venue needs to eat too. If the venue's not eating, guess what? You ain't doing a show there again.
Whoa.
So, and bro, like I said, if you have 15 acts on the same bill, nobody has that attention span. There's not a human being in the city that's going to sit here and watch 15 acts in a row. It's not happening, bro. It's not happening.
You know what, dude? I didn't even you came at that from angles I didn't even think about, man. First of all, can we talk about the one thing that you said? If it's big, it's pre-drinking. So you're there and you're out to the next thing and whatnot. But like, I feel like people need to listen to just your experience. And I just want to focus on that. Y'all could argue with what the man said, but this is the man that will buy your $10 fucking ticket and then spend a couple dollars at the bar and then da. So you have 2 choices, promoter folk, if you happen to be watching this. You can argue with me and him because I'm on his team, dog. Fuck that. I don't want to perform at your show if there's too many names because I can't convince a growing up with kids to come support me for 10 minutes. I can get them there for 15 minutes. I've learned that 15 minutes is the minimum threshold, and even then it's hard, and 30 minutes is a beautiful number, and I can get most people who want to come for 30 minutes. But, like, from my fans' point of view, that's like 6-hour commitment plus money spent plus this. And what, they're going to come watch me for 10 minutes? Dude, we're in our 30s. Like, come on. That's not going to, how am I going to sell the man a shirt? Honestly, I don't have shirts yet, but it's coming. How am I going to sell the man my theoretical shirt? Because that's what your show's supposed to be, to sell your fucking shit. So how am I supposed to sell my shit if I don't even have a vibe going on? That's just my thoughts as like the performer and I can make more money on YouTube. So why would I be at the show? Frankly,
but from the show's perspective, you have to understand that what you're asking people to spend more importantly than their money is their time. And
facts.
If I come to your show once and have a bad time, bro, I'm not coming to your next show. I don't give a fuck what the gimmick is. I don't care who's performing. If I went to your show and there was 15 acts and people are fucking arguing about who's performing next and all the performances are trash and the sound is off and like the one artist that I really want to see, by the time he finally gets on stage, everybody's outside having a cigarette, so the venue's empty. Bro, it's a fucking clusterfuck. And guess what? I'm not wasting another Friday night on that shit, bro. It's not happening. Especially me, I got kids. So the rare occasion that I get a Friday night to go wild out, you think I want to spend it at a bar watching a bunch of 25-year-olds with sunglasses scream over each other on stage, dog? Like, yo, you guys are really delusional for real. For real, for real.
And again,
I want to go somewhere with some music, some drinks, a vibe, and just have a good time, bro. That's it. That's all I'm after.
So you got to just hear what he's saying there, right? Because it's important. I know that there are going to be a couple of people that might be salty about the words because people don't like to hear new things.
Because they're just young and they ain't been in the game long enough to understand what I'm talking about.
I wasn't even thinking about young people. I was talking about old people. I'm having the opposite feeling. Because there's a lot of rigid people that don't necessarily want to change the ways. Because look, I don't want to go too deep into the money, but when you when you chase the money, and I just encourage people to think a little bit about money flows more. I don't want to challenge status quo because here's the facts. The problem with my 7 to 11 time slot is that the buyers actually split it from 7 to 11 and 11 to 3. So there's a good chance that you're going to end up having to pay for 2 time slots, whereas it's actually cheaper to rent the venue from the second slot and you get it till the end of the night.
Yeah. Sure.
That's something I didn't know when I first actually went into this whole round. But I'm like, fine, okay. And then when you really chase it, it actually costs a lot of money to do it right. And you're not going to make back that money, if I understand correctly, from the people I know who've run it, like, you know, the Ricky D's and them. It took them years to really get to a point where it was in positive numbers. And anybody I know that ever made money doing it, for the most part, and I say for the most part, there's always exceptions, it took them years to get to a point where their shows were consistently profitable. So one of the decisions that got made was that in order to keep the shows alive, the artists would be incentivized to sell tickets. Whether or not you agree with this business model, it's an ethical question that's out there floating, and I don't like it personally. I think it's not my favorite, but I also understand that if there's no show at all, that's actually worse than this model existing. So I'm not stupid, and there are realities to this world that maybe, for whatever reason, if nobody's willing to finance it, and I don't really think I'm allowed to speak much more on that, but if the financing sources in a scene change behind the scenes over drastic circumstances happening, maybe that actually has a bigger impact than a lot of people are aware of. Because something that definitely is not going on. Sorry.
I don't even mean to cut you off, but it's just I want to. This is actually something that I used to talk about on the Heavy Hitter show quite a bit. We talked about it kind of extensively actually. Is that people don't realize, a lot of people, you know, give Ricky D a lot of slack because of the whole charging for, you know, selling tickets thing and whatnot. But you got to realize that, one, he's got to pay the venue. He's got to pay the artist. And I mean, if you're talking about, you know, if you're talking about an Onyx or whatever, 5Gs, whatever, 2-3Gs, if you're talking about a French Montana, a Travis Scott, an MGK, we're talking 60 to 80 grand just for them to show up. Forget about performing, just for them to show up. You gotta drop 60, 80 grand. Plus they have riders in their contract. You gotta pay for the hotel room. These guys want all type of Henny and rosé in the hotel room waiting for them when they get there. These are all expenses that people don't know about. And I only know because I actually tried with an investor to put on a show, and I was in talks with Travis Porter's manager. This was way back in like 2011 or 12. And we were pretty much ready to go until the manager basically hit me and added like an extra $2,000 worth of random things on the contract rider, saying that like the man wanted all types of buckets of chicken in his room from a specific restaurant, this liquor, that liquor, weed, all type of different things. And it's like, bro, these are expenses that you're not even thinking about. So for me to just
Yo,
break even,
just to go down the path of riders, I once talked to a person who will remain unsaid who explicitly told me that they had a line of escorts on deck and they
yeah,
had to ensure that certain acts got satisfaction after. And the
there you
problem
go.
is that a lot of these acts, again, no names, didn't actually have that interest from the people in the crowd. So
Exactly.
believe it or not,
Exactly.
groupie love is a socially engineered thing. But people don't know about that because people no. If everywhere you go you're getting groupies, and that's because every promoter is paying a girl to because they have it down to a science what kind of girl, how to get the aesthetic for each genre, right? So
Right.
if it's like apparently for metal dudes it's fishnets and band shirts and this that, or rappers it's also fishnets and very similar actually. But like you get like whatever, you put the band shirt on and effectively it's engineered. So it's no guarantee that even if you are living this life that it's real. It could be
Yeah.
that everybody's making you believe that shit through the whole world because as you're pointing out, mans may show up and be like, "Yo, bro, you got to understand. His girl just left him. Make it happen, okay?" You're the guy, right? Like who else is going to do it?
Exactly. And then with a lot of these artists, you can't guarantee a sold out show. So if you were expecting say 2,000 people at $60 a ticket to show up, bro, and only 800 of them show up, you still got to pay all of those costs. So yeah, bro, the people who want to open up for the show, you're going to have to sell tickets. That's the reality. And it's not like you're not getting anything out of it. You get to put this on your resume. Depending on the artist, you might get to take a 1-2 picture with the man and throw it on your socials. Like the man's
Yo,
providing you a service
there's
at the end of the
also
day, bro.
there's also like one other side to it. You don't have to do it. Like nobody has a gun to your
Exactly.
head saying put up X number
Exactly.
of dollars to open up for this person. Now look, I'm not gonna lie. There are people like the OTR squad, and I'm not implying that they pay. I know that they don't necessarily pay for their shows. I'm just saying they have a presence opening consistently at big name
Yeah.
acts, and that
Yeah.
is the reason why I have an OTR hoodie, right? I went to the Dax show and OTR was there, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna give Dax money. I'm gonna give Michael money. That makes more sense to me. Montreal, what's up? But like, it was really because he was there. So you know what? If you're set up with your merch table and you're this, and he had a merch table, I can tell you
There
he
you
made
go.
$55 off of me direct that night for a couple of articles of clothing. So I'm just trying to add the perspective. I don't think everyone believes it like that. Now, you could argue at the low end it's different, but what I realized is that maybe I'm willing to lose money, but that's not a fair expectation to put on people because I got a kind of blessed life and I can't be an arrogant fuck about that shit. I got some privilege I got to be very fucking aware of because it's real as fuck. You know what it's like to have a last name like Roy in Quebec? Actually, really fucking good. It is everything you would think having a French fucking last name in Quebec, okay? It's just a gift, all right? I got more callbacks by stats alone. It's fucking stupid, but it is what it is. I have to be aware of that shit. But at the end of the day, I realized that it's a big debate, right? And I'd say it's a debate because there is the problem that. So my issue isn't actually the charging for artists. It's the more that the local end service is garbage. The service that is being given out, and it's no disrespect to a lot of people again, because I know some of these dudes personally, and I don't really want to have any kind of issues. But like, check it. I got put up by this dude named fucking Bookworm back in the day, and he was rolling with Make Way for a quick minute, and they made this flyer, and there was a Kool-Aid man doing a line of coke, and it was punchlines and comedies, and there was
I
stand-up
remember that shit. I remember that. I remember that.
so I was at like the second one. It was my very first show, June 2nd, 2012. This Sharon Epic was painting, so there was live painting happening on the stage behind us, which is fucking nuts, dude. If you've never seen Sharon Epic's work, it's nuts. She just like, and there you are. You're on the fucking canvas. It's so cool. But yo, next thing, when you went to the event, you could click on me, and it brought you to my damn page. I don't understand why I'm going to be incentivized to go to a show. And meanwhile, my brother was in the rave scene. and the rave scene's selling out like 2,000-3,000 to our 80, right? And he used to rub it in
For
my
sure.
face heavy. And the rave scene took it a step further. There were bios for every dude. The fucking event thing for a rave scene was huge, but everybody got bios, and I'm like, okay, that's part of the service. Oh shit! And then now the rave scene's making enough money to pay you to be there, because they have thousands of people showing up, right? And then the graphic designs are nice. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Up your graphic design game. Canva is free. It's fucking free.
Don't kill me with Canva, bro.
Your Canva's the shit. It's just the best.
No, it's fire if you know how to use it, for sure.
Yo, dude, it takes an hour, and we can get you to be a
I'm
semi-good
not
one.
graphically inclined, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Skillshare, my friend. Yo,
Sure.
anyway, I'll just have answers about the internet teaching you, dog, because that's what's up. You gotta think, what would a 22-year-old do? He'd pop on Skillshare, put in $15.99, take a 22-hour video course, and become an amateur designer, and then he'd put us to shame. And I think that, like, I don't mean to like cut you off or say it. I'm just saying that's an option.
No, go ahead.
And that's how I think the kids are being. Because, yo, why are all the YouTubers plugging Skillshare? Yo, the kids are on Skillshare. Oh, shit. Maybe there's something to the way they're moving agile like that. Anyway, I don't kind of remember where I was going. I feel like a couple hours into the interview, I get more talky, I've noticed.
It's all good.
But yeah, so like the service, right? Why don't I get a bio? Dude, I have like 8 years of fucking shit popping off. You can't write 3 lines about my shit? Come on. What the fuck? Why am I going to pay you $50 and you can't even write 3 sentences about why somebody would even give a shit about my music and put a link to one of my multiple fucking things you could link to prove that I'm even worth showing up for? So I would argue if you increase the service as you described, I would be a lot more inclined to hand you that $50 for tickets.
Yeah.
Then
I agree.
Then my fans might be able to go, oh, wow, Tek Luciano has a vibe. That guy is also, now they want to come for 2 people. But when you go to a lot of these pages, unfortunately, it's static list of 11 names I've never heard of. And I'm like, okay, and I've actually learned a lot of the names now, and I've met a lot of the people, but come on, are fans going to do that? Anyway, that was my rant. I like to rant about this to new people because I feel like
it's fine, because
I want to know what you think about all of that.
It's an important topic. It's just kind of what I was saying before. It's like, bro, you're expecting people to spend their hard-earned money and, more importantly, their time, invest their time. You're taking away somebody's Friday night when they could be anywhere in the world. You want them to come to your show. But what are you offering people? Now, you mentioned the rave scene. Well, why do people go to a rave? That shit is fun as fuck. Everybody's on E, having a great time, listening to music, enjoying themselves. And that's the key word, enjoying themselves. But I'm not enjoying myself after the 3rd hour of listening to rappers I've never heard about and would never listen to in the first place scream at me on stage about how, they're popping bottles and selling drugs and doing this and that and the third. Like, the bottom line is, I came to your show, I didn't have a good time. I'm not going to any event that's even remotely similar to this because it left a bad taste in my mouth. That's why I go back to what I said originally, which was focus on 2 or 3 artists and let a DJ do his thing for the rest of the night. You want to create a vibe. You want people to come out and say, yo, the performances were dope, but yo, you know what's even wickeder, bro? Along with the $15 that I spent to see the people perform, I didn't have to go to another club. I didn't have to worry about doing coat check somewhere else and moving my car to another location and finding a parking spot. I got to stay at the same place all night, watch a couple dope performances, and then just vibe out for the rest of the night. Bro, that left a good impression on me. I'm going to come back to your next show. It's simple branding, bro, really and truly. Like, it's not a difficult concept to understand. The concept of shoving as many artists as you can onto a show, hoping that their fan bases all come out. The reality is each artist is going to come with 2 or 3, maybe 5 people in their entourage. Those 5 people are going to watch their boy perform and are not going to be interested in the rest of the acts on the show. And then, honestly, by the end of the night, there's going to be fights. Someone's getting stabbed. Like, it's a whole fucking thing. Like, it's just, bro, that's a big part of the reason
I don't mean to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off, but I feel like if we're on the knowledge pursuit, so there's a little anecdote that happened one time, and maybe Spades doesn't like this story, but one time I got like 8 or 9 of my colleagues. We're talking middle America, dude. We're talking like day job parent motherfucker types, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
they are not necessarily hip hop. They were Holden fans, okay? And I
Right.
got them to come through to the show, and a fight breaks out, dog. We're talking like full on call the cops, brawl out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So there's 10 of my colleagues there, and they see this guy go before their show starts, throws a drink in a girl's face and shit. And I went back to work, and they told everybody. It took over a year for me to get a single person to be brave enough to come to a hip hop karaoke.
Oh, for sure.
It was
For
hip
sure.
hop karaoke. And then you know what they said when they went back to work? And I think people, and again, you might not like it, but they went back to work and they said, he's picking smarter shows now. Like it was my fault because something happened at the show. But I allowed myself to be in the environment, was their perception, and I brought them and broke their trust on that
Yeah,
Friday
exactly.
night with their
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
And everything you
Exactly.
just said is how they felt. And over a year, dude. And then hip hop karaoke, which sounded safe. And it was, because, dude, it's the safest shit ever. But I got to meet fucking Hannibal Buress before Bill Cosby thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was the host one time. I got that on YouTube and
that's
shit.
crazy.
Yo, I got
That's
to do
crazy.
Just for Laughs twice over hip hop karaoke. Let's talk about karaoke. Would you do karaoke? Hip hop karaoke. Get on a stage, bust another man's bars, and do it like maybe your own take on it, but do it like verbatim his words. If it could get you to Just for
See,
Laughs.
yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Like when you put it in that context, if I got to perform my own shit at Just for Laughs, I'm with it. But the, I guess you could say cocky. The cocky, arrogant MC in me is on some like I ain't performing nobody else's shit. You know, it's a dual personality battle that goes on in a rapper's mind. Unfortunately,
So here's what I
so
can tell
I
you.
can't definitively say that I would.
I don't know that you would or wouldn't. That's not it. And I can tell you, I love karaoke, and I was already like just karaoke and this shit called rapping along. I was just doing it, and then they're like, "You can go do it," and I figured, yo, that place has 250 people up in that audience. I'm gonna learn how to perform, so I did.
That's crazy though.
And
That's
but
crazy.
yo, you can tell you something. My second time, I did "Roll Out" by Ludacris, and I was brave. I said, "Yo, I need your help. Hold down this roll out." I hold it down, and and they did it, dude. All three
Crowd
verses.
interaction, bro.
But I got to learn that right at the jump. Then I didn't know Just for
Yeah,
Last was coming and shit. That just threw in my face. So what do? Rap God and break your neck. Cause yo, I'm gonna tell you something. There's no such thing as a person who doesn't look cool doing Rap God pretty fucking great on stage in front of people.
if you could pull it off, yeah, for sure.
I did. I got the video, and that's where I was going
That's
with
what's up.
it.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I remember you were making noise with that hip hop karaoke shit. I remember.
So the question is, knowing all that, would you go do it now?
It's still a hard question to be completely honest, man. Probably fucking not, unless like I got to bust out one of my own songs in the middle, or like you got to give me something, bro. Like I don't know. I guess I'm bougie in that regard. I guess there's still a part of
To,
me
to be fair,
that's that asshole from 2012. You know?
I don't get to be bougie like that. I'm not like a guy who's pulled off the shit you've done with the 10-year experience you have and all of the shit you got going on. Like, I just want to be abundantly clear. We're not like the same in that regard. You have paid your dues and keys to the city shit in a way that, I'm still, this is me paying my dues, like I'm still
And
in
yo,
that
to be
level.
completely honest, like I want to super clarify that like back in the days, and this goes back to how we opened the show with me being a dick to you and shit like that at the show. Like I was a different guy, and honestly, the older I've gotten, bro, like the less serious I take myself. Like I super appreciate like all the compliments and the shit that you gave me, and the intro was fire. But to be honest, in my own mind, I haven't really done much in terms of significance. Like it's
I
not like
mean,
I'm making a living off of music, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to be super clear with
but
that.
if
Like
it
I'm not on
counts
some super shit
on
at
that
all.
level, only 10% of rappers in Canada do. And that includes
You're right.
classified and everybody. Okay, that
You're right.
includes everybody. It includes Drake and his whole
Yeah.
team. They're part of 10% of rappers who like whatever. So I mean, the idea of commercial viability is a way to look at success. It's also I don't know if you know who what's his fucking name? Fucks with Meyer Clarity.
Hill vibe.
Yes. I don't know if you follow him, but he's really smart. And he's
Yeah,
actually
he is.
he's first of all his music is very much in the it has been in the lane that you're in for a long time. Like he years back saw it and gave up and
Yeah,
moved in.
he embraced the wave before. Yeah, a long time. Yeah, for sure.
Secondarily, he started he learned how to do lyric videos, which is actually hard. I took some time
Yeah.
to learn how to do it. We're talking like it took me 30 hours to do like a third of a song level of hard.
Damn,
Well, I mean,
it's
I was
crazy.
learning, right? So it was hard. He was probably half the time and twice as amazing, whatever. So he talks to famous people, is where I was going. Like Yellow Wolf was one of the names he dropped in terms of paid him for his team. Worked with him. He said the idea of celebrities and all, it's over. It's over, dog. It's just never gonna be again. It's not the world. That's not the future of it. The future is
Yeah.
more like a bunch of this shit, and we get 100,000 each off of this shit down the line, as we all redefine and figure it out.
That
Because
would be fire.
yo, it's possible. That's possible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If we all embrace this shit, because you know what people doing? Yo, we got like, yes, most of the people might be MCs and shit curious about you, but after the fact, your fans are gonna inevitably come click on through. As you said, they're all busy with their kids and shit. But your people are gonna watch this. Why? Because they're probably gonna watch this quicker than bump your album, some of them. And that's
Yeah, big time.
interesting.
Big time.
Don't you win both ways?
Yeah, you do, but I mean, the goal, the end goal is always wanting people to listen to the fucking music, bro. You know what I mean? But no, it's a win for sure. Like if people are paying attention, regardless of why, at the end of the day, like it's a win. I'm not,
So,
I'll take it.
so
I'll
they're
take
gonna
it.
come and they're gonna see how smart you are here, and then you do the next one and go, he's real smart over there. And then you keep talking, whatever. And then inevitably they're going to have to hear the song. And they're going to get too curious. It's impossible not to. That's how the world works, man. But by being interesting, you get the curiosity coming out of it. Like, yo, you're being mad interesting here tonight, sharing all the knowledge you're sharing. You're showing
Bro,
people
I
a
hope
huge
so.
depth.
I'm used to my own bullshit, so I don't find me particularly interesting. But I hope other people do. That's a
Yo,
win. I'll take it.
literally, we're over 2 hours in. And first of all, Spades commented a little bit ago, and Willie Scandal has just dropped the next comment. I know it's just the same two names, but who else is pulling two people's attention span over 2 hours like that right now, Tech? Other people, of course. I know internet. I know my role, but how many people can do that? They're not here for me.
Well, shout
They're
out
here
to
for
both of you guys. Then, by the way, appreciate you guys. Let that shit be known and shit.
No, they know
But
it. They feel the love. But what my point is more, yo, you're being interesting. That's why they're still here. They would have clicked away if this was boring. That's the facts.
I feel like you should be like my manager or something, man.
I just think we all have to work together and be our own little entrepreneurial monkeys
Nah,
working
you right.
together. Because I don't know about that. I just got to talk to people. This is my role. And then we all play video games together here and there. And then we all vlog here and there. And then we show motherfuckers that, like, you know what? We're, like, look at YouTube, man. Just because YouTube taught me a lot. I watch this YouTube shit. So I get to hear a lot of 22-year-olds tell me how fucking old I am all the time. It's actually helpful, right? And you see the influencer houses and the collectives. It goes right back
Bro,
to
we're not that fucking old though. Like, I'm not 60, dog. I'm
So
32. Like,
I talked to this 20-year-old the other day, and I had the epiphany. We were done high school before we started kindergarten, dude.
yeah, I guess we are kind of old. But I'm not that old, bro.
It's not that old, dude.
Fuck out it. Fuck out it.
We're in the golden age, is what I would call this, man. Like, let me be real with you. My girlfriend may be hearing this, but it would not be a bad time for me to be single, is what I'm trying to say, given my age and where I'm at in life. It is also a great time to be in a relationship at this age in life. This might be the fucking best. That's facts. Alex Spades was pushing me since 2013. I have to give him props. Spades has been very instrumental, and it was actually at a top-notch tracks show, the Dumar Brown birthday
TNT.
party. Yo, let's go back to like we can get back on the random shit, but let's get back to your story. Cause yo, first of all,
Let's do it.
the fact that we're like this deep in, and I know I talk a lot, my bad. That's just kind of what it is over here. When
Bro, it's a podcast, dude. It's what you're supposed to fucking do, man.
yo, it's kind of weird though, right? Like it's a weird balance to try to figure it out, right? Like to understand how much the ratio. That's why I try to make it.
Nah, you know what, bro? I listen. I come from fucking radio, so I love this shit. First of all, I can swear, which is amazing. And like, second of all, dude, like when I was on radio, the whole shit is I'm conducting an interview in a radio voice, and like, bro, like that, it's fire, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Don't get me twisted, but like, I was so prefer. I wish I could have did this shit. Like this shit would have been a lot more intimate. You know what I mean? As opposed to like not putting on a front, but kind of in a sense, because you got to come from that professional. You know, it's just a whole fucking thing.
I'm not very professional. I'm very curious though, and I have a lot of theories, and I just want to know your opinion on a lot of them. That's what happens as the interview goes. You proved you were so smart, and I'm like, how often do you get to talk to like fucking smart people with 20 years fucking experience in music? Come on. How selfish and lucky am I right now? That's how I feel in a lot of these moments. I'm not even going to lie. This isn't like false humility. Go look at my Facebook and the shit I post. You can ask anybody who knows me. I'm pretty fucking consistent with this shit. I'm just trying to show people this. Yo, I read a lot of books. What knowledge, yo. It helps us see things that are different. Like you have all this experience with music, and it's part of that helped you get to the epiphany of I can't fight the trends. Right? I'm going to assume that's part of it. Like,
big time.
But let's talk about you again for a little bit because it is called Interview with Clickbait Tek Luciano.
Let's go.
I might change it to a conversation with so I can talk more and not feel guilty.
Bro, do your thing. I'm not a diva in that regard, man. Do you?
Nah, but this is part of it. This is my personality. I am this. But basically, that was a terrible laugh to have on a live feed that I can't edit out of the history of the internet. But let's go back to Top Notch Tracks.
TNT.
How did that happen? Because I know who they are. I participated in a Halloween costume where I showed up with my Violent J face on and I lost in a contest. And I was like, fuck that shit. I was the best that night. And I don't really know if I was.
I feel like I wasn't there for that one. I might have missed that one.
I don't think you were. I know Spades was there because Spades was lurking in a corner, and that led to me meeting Spades later on in life and him having known who I was.
Spades be hella lurking, bro. Shout out to Spades, though.
But and I'm, you know why I like this casual name dropping? Do you know Sky Beats has come up on like 90% of my fucking interviews?
He deserves it. Good.
Just I don't know how many people are getting that kind of evidence and data of the significance of that man. You know, that's just the randomness of throwing him in.
As soon as you watch Sky just in his own engineering or producing, bro, he's a fucking genius, dog. It's crazy.
His music's pretty fire. Once you get
his music is fire.
Because he does. I don't remember what it's called, Polly something or whatever. I don't remember the name of his fucking.
Him and Mike Polly, yeah.
So they do this like rapidy, singy, melodic stuff, and it's fucking like right in line, and they've been doing it for a minute, and I'm pretty sure they get numbers. Like they're genius verified and shit. Like Sky was like,
yeah.
Sky was like, bro, I don't want to go to your house. Can we do this at a bar and we just do it live so I can perform? And I'm like, yo, Sky just fucking up my business plan in like a casual, selfish comment. And that's what it was. It was. He made it, and I thought about it. I'm like, imagine we could do this exact thing for 4 hours in front of a live audience, and you could just.
That would be the goal. If you do that, you better invite me back. We got ground to cover and shit.
First of all, we got to invite you back because we're not going to get through it all, anywhere near it. And second of all, yo, when you get the smart, interesting motherfuckers, you bring them back over and over again. Like I said,
let's go.
Look at DJ Vlad and fucking, what's his name? Lord Jamar. Let's be real. Who the fuck cared about Lord Jamar in 2014? Like, let's be real. Yeah, a whole group of people did.
Just old heads, pretty much, bro.
Everybody knows who Lord Jamar is now.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not trying to say, like, good, bad strategies, brand impacts, and all of that. You choose your come up. But it's undeniable that returning podcasting has been an effective strategy for many a rapper. Yo, people watch the interviews and then they listen to sometimes then they listen to the music, or they might heard the music once. I don't know. So anyway, you should come, not just me, man. Jump on 514 Online Mix. They're pretty fire. They do a higher production quality than my shit. It'll be a nicer, like, real vibe. Whereas, I'm trying to go down this kind of lane with it,
I like this lane a lot, though. I'll be honest with you.
That's
Go
super
ahead.
cool. So the fact that we can just do it like this means any fucking time down the line, 2 months goes by. I know you have another project coming out. I believe that's something we're supposed to inevitably get to talking about, But
We'll get there. I got a lot, bro. Trust me. I've been making a lot of fucking music since I built this studio.
oh my gosh.
That's
So when did you build it?
This is something that I've been wanting to do since I was a teenager. I had a bootleg version of it as a teen, but I just wasn't. I didn't need it because I was recording at Emo's spot, right, for free. So I mean, like, and he knew how to mix already. So I mean, it was kind of more out of convenience than anything else. But when COVID hit, it was like, all right, well, Sky is closed. I could go by Cali. Shout out to Cali too. That's my brother and another very,
amazing.
very fire engineer.
Absolutely.
But but I could do all that, or I could do what I wanted to do since I was 15 years old, build my little studio in my house, and basically, because I already had like a pretty decent amount of mixing knowledge just from having been in studios since I was 14 years old and just watching, listening, asking questions. Like, I'm not the rapper that just goes to the studio, drops my shit, and then goes outside and smokes while you mix. I'm fucking sitting right next to you, watching, inquiring, wanting to know, like, why did you EQ it this way? What did you do with the compression? How do they relate to each other? So on and so forth. So basically the entire Darkest Hour project was recorded in this room, mixed by yours truly, with about 3 months of actual mixing experience. So my next shit's gonna be hotter, and as we progress, the production quality is just gonna inevitably.
Are you handling all the mixing?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I mixed the whole fucking project myself. Sky mastered it, so shout out to him. Because mastering is kind of like a whole another animal on its own, which is like an entirely different learning curve. But the mixing was definitely done in house, right here, right on this motherfucker right here behind me, bro. That's where everything went down.
Can we just like take a quick second, because you dropped another knowledge nugget, dog, and one that I could relate to heavy. I mean, it's ugly, but I got a room that I can go ahead and clap in, and it's not a real echo. I mean, I might want to do it now because it'd be ugly, but I can make music up in here, and that means I don't know how to speak. I can podcast in here. I can do a lot in here, and you in the same room. You were like, yo, COVID hit. I can make music in here. And it's just dope, no? Isn't that like a wise thing to put my time and money into as an artist in this day and age?
If there's any artists listening right now, I know Willie and Spades are probably still there, but if there's anybody else as well.
Well, we're at 7 at least, it says.
Get a home recording setup. This has been a life-altering experience for me. Like, you don't even understand. I've made more music in the last 3 months than I made in the last 5 years, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, big shout out, and I hate that I waited this long to do it, but shout out to my blood cousin, my first cousin, Native 808, who produced the entire Darkest Hour EP, which is 3 tracks. But I mean, we literally have 15, 20, 22 joints in the vault on this computer behind me. He's just been sending me fire. Hold
up. Why did you only put up 3 then?
Because so here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought this up because I would have forgot to mention it. So I was by Cali one night. We were just kicking it because that's my guy. And
just to be clear, because y'all call him Cali, but like publicly I see him as Merker Miyagi. And like just to be clear, like he was here, like he's the guy that did the Flaco, the Flaco Bayo Liddy Boys project and all that shit, right? So like Merker, in my opinion, is making fucking moves. Like he produced a New York City project. Like that's not even just here. Like those guys are respecting shit.
And they're popping, yeah, man.
I'm looking around the situation, and that guy, look, Sky, he's the new Sky Beats. Okay, that's the way to put it. Because Sky closed.
Nah, I can't agree with you there. I think that
I'm just
they're
saying
both.
In terms
listen,
of
Cali's been around. Like both of them have been around for a very long time. I wouldn't say that one is the new other. I'd say that they just both been doing their thing for a very long time. But like definitely they're both amazing at what they do, and I'm gonna just leave it there. It doesn't even have to be a question of who's better. You know what I mean?
I didn't mean it in a disrespectful kind of way. But I meant prior to Sky closing, I never heard Merker was the best quite as much. That's all I'm saying like that. And yo, listen, Sky is killing it. I think they're both brilliant. I think
Yeah, they're
listen,
both amazing.
I owe Sky Beats so much, dude. That guy is the first music video of mine. That guy, I've been to his studio. I don't want to. I don't. Sometimes I ramble, but like, it's kind of hip hop a little bit. It's kind of competitions, kind of creep into it.
For
Um,
sure, of course, of course, of
um,
course.
and I feel like those two have been put against each other in front of my face a lot. That's why my brain creates the dichotomy. Not
Yeah,
necessarily that I have a preference, because I would blind work with and they both produce gorgeous beats you should buy. Just to throw that out there,
absolutely.
both
And
of
yo,
them.
so does Native 808. Let me just say that shit
Let's go back to
before we
your
go
shit
any
there.
fucking further. Cause yo, that's literally yo. It's crazy that that's my first cousin. Like his dad and my mom are brother and sister, and we were kind of close as kids, but we just grew apart as teenagers. It happens. And for whatever reason, within the last couple of months, bro, we just started talking. And I was like, yo, I built a home studio. He said, yo, I sent you beats in 2016. I was like, fuck, you're right. He's like, you want some beats? I'm like, let's do it. Next thing you know, we're 20 tracks in. So to bring it back to the project, the reason I put out a three track EP was because I was kicking it by Cali one night, and like Cali is a wealth of knowledge, right? So I was like, yo, like how
Mm.
like we were just having a conversation of how should I approach this type of thing. Like I wanted his opinion, and we both came to the consensus that the reality is these days, right, is that people's attention span, because of social media and having the world at your fingertips and instant gratification of every sense, whether it's information, entertainment, whatever it is, whatever the fuck you're into on your phone, right? You have that instant gratification. So what that equates to is the fact that people's attention spans is not 13 tracks long anymore. So for me to come and ask you for 45 minutes of your time to listen to my project back to front, the reality is you're going to listen to one or two songs and you're going to keep it pushing. So I put out a 3-track EP because I felt like the quality was good enough to get you from start to finish. And all in, we're talking 8 minutes of your time. You could listen to this entire project on your lunch break.
So let me
You,
ask
you, you see what I'm saying?
let me ask you another question then about that there. So that first
Yeah.
track, you made it 2 minutes on purpose then?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I mean, honestly, one of my boys, DLP, shout out to the homie DLP, man, from Ganawage. He's like one of my big supporters, and he hit me up and he's like, "Yo, you need to put a second verse on that, stupid." And I was like, "Yo, listen, nah, because bro, I'm trying to like, I knew that the other two were kind of long in the tooth in terms of being like 2 verses and 3 hooks, which like by today's standards, anything over 3 minutes is considered long as fuck. So I knew that those tracks were kind of long, right? So the first one, I was like, yo, listen, intro, catchy chorus, ill verse, catchy chorus, keep it pushing, bro.
All
You know
right.
what I mean? So yeah, it was on purpose. To answer your question, yes, it was intentional, 100%.
So yeah, I just wanted to kind of say thank you again for all of that, because that was real dope. Um, Also, longevity is an interesting point about your career. You're
Yeah,
still doing it in your room, self sufficient. You got shit in the bank. One would argue you're pretty fucking successful, dude. I don't have shit in the bank like that. I'm pretty much like, my rap career feels paycheck to paycheck by comparison, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's how I manage my shit. Fair enough. But when I look at that, I'm like, okay, Tech's got his shit together. I gotta like take notes over here. Um,
but you have a setup right there. You could be making just as much music as me. You just need to build a relationship with a beat maker
nah,
and
it's.
do your thing.
Here's the thing. This is way worth more my time than not right now. I can just make music later.
I can respect.
You want to know
Yeah,
why? Because there's a whole other market. If we want to pivot into a little pick your brain idea here.
a way
Um,
bigger market if we're talking about podcasts. Go ahead.
no, I'm talking about, there's a trend that's being overlooked by a lot of old men, and I think you tapped into it fucking heavy with your content. And that's that this is the first time guys our age are still actively invested in new hip hop. And proof to the pudding is Griselda. Who the fuck is buying a West Side Gun album? Okay, you think kids are? No, it's us. We're the ones making Griselda's really pop. Let's be real. I'm Benny the Butcher's target. Other people get other ones. They got the three of them together that are hitting each of the main old man markets, and they like
Yeah,
made golden era hip hop now, and they
yeah,
managed to hit swagged up shit in their various elements, and it caught the
yeah.
attention, and they hit this whole thing. But the truth is, there actually is this whole emerging market of what I'm calling old man hip hop. That's never happened before. And so,
Well, because hip hop is the thing is that like all of us like this is kind of the first we're kind of like the first gen we're maybe not the first generation, but we're the first generation, let's put it this way. We're the first generation that's computer and technology literate that grew up with hip hop.
mm,
So we're lifelong fans. You understand? So I grew up on Hove, I grew up on X, I grew up on Bone, I grew up on Wu, and you bet your bottom dollar anytime that they drop something, I'm gonna be first in line to consume that shit
but
because that's my era.
let me ask you a
You know?
question. You have a Spotify?
Mhm. Yeah, I do.
That's what changed. So here's what happened, and I'm not to like this is just like a little bit like data analysis shit, but
Yeah,
the fact of the matter is my 48-year-old Jewish colleague, he likes hip hop, the old stuff, etc. He keeps throwing me these random new songs, like you just would not expect them. Why? Because Spotify's a smart motherfucker, and it knows
yeah.
me, and it just finds these nuggets and sends it around.
Those
But what ends
algorithms,
up
man.
happening is he sees the year 2020 on these releases, and he goes, "Wait a
Yeah,
second, there's good hip hop being made." And now he's looking into albums. And I watched this happen because of Spotify. I watched Spotify take a hater into a lover of random new shit. Because he
yeah.
basically got algorithmically proved hard facts. Yo, you actually do like new hip hop. Shut the fuck up. Um, and I think that's created a whole new consumer that may actually just appreciate that extra verse, just in the other direction. Do I think
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
the safer bet? No. But I'm saying some. That's why I think your album's cool, because it was like you did take the other route for the other tracks, but you Old Town roaded that first track. It's like from a marketing perspective, the way you ended it on that hook. I don't know. It just made me want to keep listening. But then if you hit it on like the little replay, the one track replay, and then it
Yeah,
starts, you have the hook start again, but cut immediately into something else, like change a little bit. And I'm just like,
yeah.
oh, it's well done for loopability. So do you really, if it's not about the bars, as you said, does it really matter if like the words change? You're just vibing. And then you get two spins where you would have only got one with that extra verse. That's
Yeah.
the actual facts of why these 2 minute songs are fucking popping, and you get two spins for one. It's like a twofer.
Bro, listen, like there was a transition that happened within the last 5 years. I don't know if you've noticed it. I'm sure you probably did, which is that the 16 bar verse is almost not a thing anymore. It's 12s. Everything commercial is 12 bars. There is no 16 bar verses anymore, unless you're talking about, the Griselda sort of encapsulating that old New York East Coast type of vibe. But if you look
Hold up. You with
at
us?
12 bar verses,
Okay, repeat
yeah.
that last little bit. It chopped. So you were saying
Okay, yeah. So
12
yeah,
bar
what I was
verses.
saying is that yeah, all the new era stuff is 12 bar verses. There's no more 16s, bro. 16s are a thing of the past. It's 12 bars. You go hook, 12 bar verse, hook, 12 bar verse, maybe another hook, probably a bridge, an outro, whatever the case may be. But the fact is, unless you're really on that lyrical miracle shit, the 16 is a thing of the past, bro. It's 12 bar verses.
You know,
And for somebody like me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm fucking lazy. I love 12 bar verses because I don't even, bro, 12 bar verse, I could do that shit taking a shit and come back straight up. Like it's nothing.
that's so interesting that you said that, because I believe it or not, I didn't make that connection. But when you say
Yeah.
it, I mean, I noticed the choruses got longer and loopier, and you did that echo so well. Just that one hook. I don't remember which one it was. Sorry, but like you say the line, and then you have an echo that just repeats it perfectly, and I can
Yeah.
picture the call response reaction now as you're live on stage, and you're saying maybe the first one, and then they're doing the ad lib, and
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, Tech is smart. Because, like, at the end of the day, as a performer, you are giving a service to the people. And I love the way that you thought that. And I mean, again, maybe I'm projecting into your art, but like, how often do you get the chance to like, yo, big ups to Preach. Preach told me, listen to their albums and do that. They're gonna like it. And I feel like he
Big
was
time.
right. But yo, I felt like you thought about that, and you just took so much consideration into that live show, and it made me feel like you took your career more serious. Maybe the craft, I don't know, that's up for debate. You could argue up the wazoo of styles of what's good hip hop and what's bad hip hop and culture and blah 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 blah, all that good old bullshit.
Bro,
But it makes me
let
feel
me
like you
tell you.
take
Let
your
me tell you.
career serious.
No, but and I appreciate it. But let me tell you something. As somebody that's I've done the bars, and I can still don't get it ever twisted. I can still do the bars
Yo,
with the
you wanna
best
bust a
of the
little?
best.
You wanna bust a little freestyle?
We'll save that for a bit later on. But let me because I forget what I'm talking, right? But I can still do the bars. Don't get it twisted. But now that I've switched to the melody, bro, just singing for auto tune on its own is a fucking art form by itself. Like people think that you just put on auto tune and whatever you sing is gonna sound amazing. No, 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 no. If you want your auto tune to sound good, bro, you have to know, you have to perfect a certain singing technique. You like whether it's the way you're accentuating your landings, whereas opposed like if I was just singing regularly, there would be a natural vibrato to my
Yo,
voice,
can
right?
you like talk out an example of what you mean using your voice now?
Okay, so like let's take short days, long nights. If I was just singing it normally, right, like conventional R&B with no auto tune, shit like that, it would be short days and them long nights. I just want to sleep until it's no lie, and it's on my mind. It's heavy on my mind. Just you hear the natural ups and downs and the vibratos. Now, when you come
Bro,
with the auto tune,
that was
if you
smooth.
really want, if thanks, if you want that auto tune to really pop it's short days and them long nights. I just want to sleep until it's no lie. You really have to accentuate the landings. And it's on my mind. It's heavy on my mind. Like you really have to put the emphasis on your landings because that's where you get the butter with the auto tune. So people think that you just throw auto tune on your shit because you can't sing and the auto tune's what makes it sound good. No, bro, you as a regular, I'm not talking about you, but I'm saying
No, man.
you as a
I love what you're saying,
regular
dog.
person off the street, go to a studio and try and sing with auto tune on and see how good it sounds if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Dog. It's that shit is an art form in and of itself, and it's an art form that I had to learn. So like there's an art form obviously to crafting bars and wordplay and shit like that, but there's an equal amount of effort and
So, yo,
art in the new wave.
so I was
Like
talking.
I used to think I sorry, but I used to think that like Lil Uzi and all these guys were super trash. But now that I'm making this type of music, I'm like, yo, these guys are fucking really good at what they do. Like you consider and say it's not hip hop all you want. But bro, first of all, it is hip hop because it's what the young urban youth are listening to. It's hip hop, sorry to tell you. And second of all, bro, these guys are genuinely talented artists. Like you
Like,
can't tell me that fucking what was that the song that he blew up with?
no, it's Tour
All my
Life,
friends are dead.
Tour Life
That song,
XO3.
bro, that song
Dude, have
is
you
fucking
actually
fire.
tried to
Like,
rap that song? It's not an easy song to do because your boy loves that was my number one listen to song of 2017 according to Spotify.
yeah, that's a
Your
big track,
boy
bro. It's a
knows
big
that
track.
shit by heart. Let me tell
It's
you
a big track
something. You can't like that is a hard song. He's actually going quite fast at multiple parts and he's completely
for
in the
sure.
pocket. And just the way he like moans on
Yeah.
beat. Like I realized you were in the pocket. And this is something that I learned a little bit about how maybe I fucked up. My sound engineer, Flacco Bayo, a couple other people made the same kind of comments. Maybe not all at me. My engineer was at me. But like it was the pocket, you forcing it, you put in too much in. People they want to hear what you have to say. And that's where the pocket comes in. The accessibility. Like if you think about it from a software perspective, is the difference between making it fucking easy so you click, click, click and it's done, and making it hard where you have to think, right?
Less is more, brother.
So the fact that you were able to, hey, I listened to your project fucking 3 times before the call. How?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it was 3 tracks, and you're right. Had you made me had more to listen to, I would have listened to each song less times. The fact is, I only
Exactly.
really have so much time to prepare for the stuff, and I did have to go digging
Exactly.
for your shits a little bit, which is cool because your music videos from back in the day are worth investigating. It's good, man. Yo, because y'all can really see this like progression of his bars throughout the years. You can see it all. It's all out there. Um,
Yeah.
but the fact was, I found you were just so snug with it, and somebody was telling me about like getting signed. And maybe the reason certain people get signed is because they don't take as much time to worry about their pen game. They take all that time to worry about their flow game. Because at the end of the day, if we think about even, because he's giving us free game, everybody. Tek Luciano even said this earlier. Bro, I just come up with the melody and I fucking plug and play, taking a shit, boom, boom. Do shit while you're
Literally.
taking a shit, dude. Taking a shit is a great time to be productive. Um, but big facts, man. Like, I feel like you're really in tune with, like, a lot of what it is. Like, why would a label pay you for bars? Like, I mean, come on. Like, who isn't still rapping? Pick a name. They all kept dropping albums. They can all afford the same bullshit you can afford. You think that
Yeah.
every one
Big
of
time.
your favorite rappers hasn't put out 10 albums in the last 10 years? Of course they
Exactly.
have. Why aren't people relevant? I don't know. I feel like, though, man, I didn't even understand how interesting you were when this conversation started. You're like Travis Bryant. And I say that because that guy also understands big game marketing in the way that I think you do. So the way I see him making moves, I feel like that's your future, dog. Straight up. And I mean that because your music hits. I don't know. Now I'm just kind of fanboying a bit. How could I help it? I'm talking to
Nah,
Tek
respect though.
Luciano.
Respect.
This is like
Respect.
fucking real shit. This is like, look, maybe a lot of people can't understand what it's like for like a guy who started in 2012 to be in a moment like this. Okay, like this is super sincere and shit. I just hope people like watch. I guess anyone watching this from my end knows me. Fair enough. One of my patrons was like, dude, I watch you on YouTube all the time. Shut the fuck up. I know who you are. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Anyhow, so let's go back to TNT because I kind of like I'm running a steam on that shit. How
It's
did
all
you
good.
how did you meet the TNT folk and how did that all come together? Cause S Gats and them, Peter West, they're all like
Yeah,
still fucking running. I saw you did a track with Gats back in the day. I bumped it. It was fire.
bro. Gats is my cousin too. So,
Like blood?
um, it's kind of weird. So basically, I'm you know what? I can't really go into the man's business, but yeah, we'll say yeah, he's blood. He's technically blood. So yeah, he's my cousin. I'm not gonna get into his fucking family tree. That's for him to divulge. But yeah, he's my cousin. And the way that we got hooked up was that him and Peter West, formed a friendship online. I actually had a diss track back in 2009 where I was battling this guy named Cray Prince, and we're not going to get into all that because I'm not going to rehash beef from 11 years ago.
Yeah, nobody
Um,
cares about that. You're on that
yeah,
positive vibes.
but I mean, but listen, that it was a big beef in the city, and it got me a lot of attention.
No,
We'll
no.
we'll,
I
we'll leave
mean,
it at that.
look, if we want to, I'm happy to go into anything in a way where we don't like rehash the shit. It's one thing to be
No,
like,
no, no,
this
bro. Listen,
happened.
listen. You want to know what's funny because between you and me, the beef really did have a potential to get off of wax and become super serious. There was some things that happened in both parties. Like we're not gonna get into the specifics, but
Right,
it could
right,
have
right.
been worse. It
Like,
could have been worse, right?
like the
But at this point in my life, if for whatever reason the man was to stumble upon this video, bro, I have no interest in rehashing stupidness from 11 years ago. I'm a grown man. I got two kids. Like, bro, if I'm really beefing with somebody
yo,
like that,
hold
it's
up.
because it's
Is
some
doing
serious
that
shit.
is doing that thing where
Yeah.
your voice is kind of getting garbly.
TNT, bro. Yeah, TNT. So, Gats is my cousin, and him and Wes formed a relationship. And Gats basically sent me my first S Gats beat for the diss track that I was talking about before. And then we kind of just went from there, kind of just kept the relationship going, me, him, and West. And then um, I don't even know how the TNT thing came about. It was definitely Gats's brainchild. And then so it was me, Gats, and Peter West. We brought in Dumar and Chase, the A Team, as well as Jay DeVille, Sky Beats, and Dozy was booking the shows for us. And yeah, that was the vibe. Am I forgetting anybody? I don't believe I am. I think that's everybody. And we were running solid for like I don't know, maybe 2 3 years. And yo, bro, that was like one of the most active periods of my career. We were running a show a month, and like by the end, we were getting very decent turnouts for like local shows. To be honest with you, so it was
That's true.
fire.
I'd argue that at that point you guys were definitely a name that had brand reputation. I saying people
Yeah,
bought the TNT merch.
big time, big time.
So what do you feel about collectives versus individual artists?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends. You know, the thing with collectives is I've been a part of multiple collectives. I mean, like a lot. People would probably say I'm a crew hopper um, for certain points in my career. But the thing about collectives is, especially with rappers, is that we're all guitarists in the sense of we all have egos. So when you have a collective full of rappers, it's always gonna be some fucking I should have went on before him. Yo, why did you go take a cigarette break during my set? Like it's just too much sometimes. So for me personally, at this age, I would much rather be an individual artist just simply because listen, I don't got to deal with nobody else's bullshit. I don't got to deal with nobody's ego. I do what I want when I want. I don't got to check in with nobody. I don't need permission from nobody. I just do what the fuck I want to do. And there's nobody really to like it or not like it other than the people who are consuming it, obviously, right? So for me personally, I prefer being a solo artist. However, if you're like super starting out, I think it's super important to become a part of a collective just because there's that knowledge that's going to be passed down to you from the older heads and just working with different artists. Like the best way to learn your craft is to learn from people. You know what I mean? Like I learned so much
Oh my word!
working with guys like Sales in the studio, Sky in the studio, Gats, whether it's mixing techniques or just certain little tricks to the recording process, like you learn from people that you work with, right? So it's kind of it depends on the person. It will be my final answer on that one.
Dog, you dropped two super fucking powerful knowledge nuggets up in there. First of all, I was talking to this guy I randomly met in the Facebook lives recently, and he sent me these screenshots from a Scottish 22-year-old about his perception on music marketing. Make music
Hmm.
for yourself. Fuck all the rest of that shit. I
Hmm.
listen to the kid's music. I'm gonna listen to more of his music. He has a swag. Can't help it. He has like this laugh. I don't know. It was infectious. I couldn't help it. You could tell he was having fun. In the same way on your album, I could tell like it was serious. You it feel like you're having fun making this project. Did you have fun making your album?
Big time. Bro, it's like recording. It's weird because you would think that like going to the studios, this whole event, and you and your boys go with some liquor, some weed, have a good time. Like I said, I'm not really the most social type of person, especially these days. I love recording by myself, bro. I'm in this room, and it sounds funny, but like, bro, I'm in this room in my boxers, a wife beater, recording. You know what I mean? It's some house slippers, and just
Love
going
it.
in. And the beauty of it is that like, bro, I can do as many takes as I want. I can experiment, and that's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest proponent that I'll tell anybody that's trying to do any sort of music to get your own setup at home, even if you don't use it to mix and put out your music, is just the creative aspect of it. Because, bro, when you're paying for 2 hours of studio time, you have no choice. You got to go in, kill it, come out because you're on a set amount of
Let me
time.
ask you.
I can spend 3 days on one song if I wanted to. To be completely honest with you, every song on the project was recorded in under 45 minutes because it was just a vibe. But if I wanted to spend 3 days on one ad lib, I can do that. And that's beautiful to me, you
So,
know?
have you ever had experiences where you rush some shit because of the money and the studio times? Not now. I'm saying like back in the day.
No, no, no. But even now, like big time, bro. The amount of times that I went to the studio and like smoked and I was smoking and drinking and thought something was fire, and then I bump it in the car the next day and I'm like, I need to re-record this whole song. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like I'm just off that. And like a big part of the reason that I haven't put out a lot of music in the last 10 years, there's super personal reasons that we can get into because it's part of the story. But like one of the major things is that I'm like the biggest critic in the world. Like you can ask Cali because that's like my go-to studio.
Right.
I literally have probably dozens, if not, yeah, I'll say dozens. I have dozens and dozens of songs just sitting on this guy's hard drives from all 2010 until now that will never see the light of day, that he will tell me, yo, this shit is fucking fire, like what are you talking about? And I'm like, nope, don't like it. There's like one ad lib on it that I can't stand, so I'll never put it out. Like I'm just so critical of my music, like it's crazy. But the cool thing about recording at home is I could do it until it sounds the way I want it to sound. So yeah.
So you mentioned in your one of your wonderful rants. I like your rants a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
No,
I be,
dude,
you know,
man, I'm just sitting here going knowledge nugget, connection this, connection that. Cause check it. You said earlier in the day, 2 3 people. I'd go 4 is fair, depending on how you structure it. You can get away with 6. I can give you a 4 hour breakdown for 6 that'll work. Um, just because it is cool to have like a few opportunities and then your main headliner, but less people. But then if you have less people, you can afford to put in breaks, and that's where your DJ comes in, the music's bumping. But if you schedule breaks, everyone can go smoke. Like I don't know, man. I just feel like people forgot that weed got legal. Like what the fuck, man? You can't smoke
even
anymore.
before weed, bro. Like I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but when I was smoking cigarettes, or even with the vape shit, like, bro, just leaving the venue to just get some fucking air for 5 minutes
Mm.
is a huge part of of people's night. Like, bro, it's hot in the venue. There's always a two-man in there that didn't wear deodorant, so the fucking place stinks. Like, you just want to fucking go outside and breathe some air for 5 minutes, and
So
it's not like, you know.
if drama gets created because of the whole, you have to go outside because that's what it is. By limiting the
Yeah.
number of people on the set, you give the whole, you can, you honestly MC, master of ceremonies, that shit, and you create a vibe with the spacing. As a promoter, you're honestly like the MC of the MCs, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, maybe your host is literally that. But y'all get the point what I'm saying. Your structure should have a flow to it like that. But I think it's
Yeah.
so interesting that you brought that up. But it's also like, I like the fact that like you brought up the young people needing to be in a collective, and I think here's where maybe there is something lacking, and it might not be on the young people. Who was the other end of the young people being in the collective? The older cats, willing to give their time and knowledge and everything to the young person. Now, big ups my dude Chris Chrome. One of the most humbling experiences of my life was working with a guy 7 years younger than me for years and trying to teach him stuff. Watching him relive all of my old stupidities. I don't know how many of us are willing to do that. And I got a lot out of this. It is not like charity, it's a good exchange. We help each other grow. I
Bro, you learn too. You learn from
Oh
teaching.
my
That's
gosh.
a fact.
There's no so I used to talk a lot more. There's no way we'd had this conversation. I would have just talked over you, pissed you off. You would have dipped out the call. So I watched me bully this kid practically on camera on my 2017. If you ever want to watch me sound like a dick on camera, any of my 2017 review, but I had to edit it, right? So I'm watching me treat this guy away, and I'm like, he looks up to me. Fuck. Okay, let's rethink life a little bit. I don't know if he's still watching this, but if he's not, that's his loss because he would have really enjoyed this moment. He was here earlier.
You missed your apology and shit, bro.
But how do you feel about the idea of being a mentor and mentorship? And do we have this responsibility on our end to reach out to these youth and build these relationships?
Listen, man, I did it with the radio show. There was a couple artists in particular who I really like took the time to, like, contact outside of the show and like just say like, yo, bro, like you're really good. Make more music, send it to me. I'm gonna blast it. Like, you know what I mean? And so I feel like I kind of did that. At this point in my life, I don't really have the time just because I have 2 kids. Like, I don't need a third or fourth. But like, do we have a responsibility? I don't know if I would call it a responsibility necessarily, but I definitely think that there's so much to gain from doing it. Like, it's almost a disservice to
Okay,
yourself
so
if
let
you're
me add
opening to
this one caveat. There's 2 categories of cats like you and I. I
yeah.
had no kids. You have kids. I
Mhm.
don't think it's fair to put the same level of responsibility on you to maybe be that mentor figure as it would be to put it on, say, cats like me. So I want to
Yeah.
add the caveat that some of my more grandiose ideas for those watching are from the perspective of somebody who does not have children, and that
Yeah.
I've even put it into my bars. Like one of them is like, I don't know, kudos to those who procreate. Like hats off to them, because yo, if you can have kids and do this, you're 10 times the man I am. Facts. I know what it is to be a parent. I have watched like 20 of my colleagues go through their first kid. Okay, the sleeplessness, all that, and you're still doing this? Holy shit, you're a hero. in my opinion.
That's a big part of the reason I was quiet for so long, bro. And you know, like now that I'm kind of doing it on my own, and it's like the thing is, my kids are young, so it's not like they're 11 and 12 and they could kind of just go entertain themselves for hours at a time. Like when your kids are my age, I literally have to watch them every second that they're here because you never know. Like, you know, these kids are trying to kill each other. Like, bro, I could barely take a shit, like literally, you know what I mean? So it's like when I'm with my kids, I don't really have time to necessarily do this. But I also want to say that, you know, just because you have kids, like I'm not hiding behind my kids as an excuse. They're not the only reason I wasn't dropping music. There's a lot more to that.
How
And we
old are
could
your
get into it
kids?
if you want. 5 and 3. It'll be 5 and 4 soon, but 5 and 3.
I don't
Right
want
now.
to go into. There's so much interesting, cool shit to go into before we ever have to get into that other stuff. You know, the vast fucking
Yeah.
popping. The kids' ages is interesting to me because I noticed that somebody else who had kids, 1 to 3, 4, that era. This, and I've noticed it with all of my colleagues. It's like it sucks you out of being a human, and for about 3 to 4 years, you have kids now, and you have to learn to be that new person, and that's a fair three
Big
to
time.
four years. But then all of a
Big time.
sudden, you learn it, and yo, I'm just saying it's something I noticed. So, I mean, it makes total sense to me that for a few years you ghost because you have children. That just sounds like Tek Luciano's a responsible fucking father.
I'm like, yo, honestly, like I'm fucking Mr. Mom. Like like straight up. Like I'm not to knock Tash, but I'm saying like I'm super like, bro, there's not a day that my kids don't see their dad. Like I'm that dad. I'm not like one of these fucking deadbeats out here pretending to be fucking father of the year. And listen, if you're that guy, lose my number because we're never gonna have a conversation or I'm never gonna entertain you. You're a piece of shit. But yeah, so like I'm super involved in my kid's life, bro. Like that's the priority. Like it's not even close, right?
So
So I just wanted
like,
to put that shit out there.
if we go and tie that back into your home studio shit, it's economizing your
Yeah,
time. We already learned from Tek Luciano in this very interview that time is a valuable resource of money if you think about your Friday night. We also heard that maybe studio time gets wasted if you get a little litty with a lot of people around. Maybe it's not the most efficient thing. And I don't have kids, but I am doing a full shout out Merker fucking music. Glad he wasn't here for that
hey,
part where I brought his name up
he's
before.
in the building right now.
That is amazing. Shout out
That's my
Merker
guy,
fucking
Cali.
music. Woo!
Cali.
That is amazing. That's like that has me feeling humbled like a motherfucker. That's all I'm trying to
Yo,
say.
Cali, I feel like I'm on Molly in 2014 right now. You know what I'm talking about? It's popping.
Ah,
That was
that's what's
before
up.
before the kids. Before the kids.
Anyway, but what I'm trying to say though is like, listen, you take, but I'm just anyway. You take the situation where you create the circumstances that allow you to create the reality. So it's like you
Yeah.
already understood all these different pieces, right? Look around your room, dog. I mean, I know that shit's available. I know the prices on that shit. It is even minimum wage fucking money. Can afford that. Look, it took me over a year to save up for this shit. It wasn't like it was overnight.
Yeah.
When like no flex. Like I have money. It's not that kind of money. I just have regular money. There's a
Bro, I'll be
difference.
honest with you. Like, I built my setup for under $1,000. I'm like, that's not including all the plugins and stuff like
Mm.
that. But like, bro, the physical hardware aspect
Oh,
of it was under $1,000. Like,
so check it. I got packing blankets on AliExpress for $80, and my budget is more because I wasted money at U-Haul. So I have to add $30, but I could have done it with less. You know, a couple blankets on the wall, staple gun,
yo,
boom,
those.
boom.
By the way, no, but those are very good for sound isolation. Like, I actually have two moving blankets right here that I kind of use as like a mobile booth here and there. You know, but like, yeah, that's super fire. Go ahead.
And so yeah, $80 on Amazon Prime. Six
Yeah.
fucking packing blankets. Yo, I put like an excessive amount. I know I could have gotten away with less than what I did in the room, kind of thing. So I'm just trying to say on that accessibility front. But what makes you impressive is not only were you willing to like adapt and all that, but you created the reality that allowed you to achieve it because, as you said, as a dad, you ain't gonna have the kids. But back to the responsibility question. Cats like me who don't have kids,
Mhm.
do we have that responsibility to carry that torch and do that thing? Because otherwise, that dynamic you described can't exist.
I mean, here's the thing. I can't necessarily say that it's anybody's responsibility per se, but like I said, you're doing a disservice to yourself if you don't want to grab somebody up and teach them, because it's one of the best ways to learn, not only learn more about your craft, but to learn more about you as a person. And it's just super gratifying to like know that you help somebody out. And like, let's say this kid that you pick out of a crowd actually does something with his music, bro. What better feeling can you possibly have? Like, it's tremendous, right? But I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a responsibility, but one responsibility that I will say that I think that people doing this shit that don't have kids have is you need to be going super hard. You need to be going super hard, especially at our age, because I mean, the eventual reality is you're probably gonna have kids eventually, right? Not everybody, obviously, but for the most part. And once you do have kids, especially when they're young, you're not gonna have the time on your hands that you think you're gonna have. And that's a super duper reality, bro. Like, I would be more productive if I didn't have kids, but it's,
No, I totally feel you.
what can you do, right?
No, I mean, I get it, because, like, whoops, I nearly knocked over my monitor. That's part of why I'm trying to do this, right? Like, because, I mean, you can't do this. You have kids. This is a lot of time, right? And somebody's got to do it. That was kind of how I ended up in this role. Like, I was like, it doesn't exist, really, right? Like, how are we supposed to get Merker Miyagi up here talking about his story if he doesn't pop on one day to see a little Tek Luciano situation, right? It has to happen to get the ball rolling, because, y'all had that history.
Yo, that would be a really dope episode, by the way. I'm just
That's
letting
right.
you know. He's got a lot of knowledge, but you think I got knowledge? He's got a lot of fucking knowledge. I learned a lot of my knowledge from Kelly, so
I
make
say
that
this
shit happen.
every single time he comes up, because, Merker, you come up a bunch. It's just what it is. People like you. His Facebook is my favorite of all the Facebooks, and this is not just because he's here. I say this in other ones when he's not here. If he's not here, this will be awkward as fuck. But either way, it's just like, he's interesting in an insightful way where he slaps the shit out of everybody, but the shoe never fits me, so I never feel offended, and I like it. It's just fun to watch. And he's really just so enjoyable, because he'll get me to like rethink entire things, right? And then I'm like, this guy's fucking fascinating, and I love that shit. Anyway, I remember I was going with any of that shit. I kind of got distracted. Yeah, I don't know.
We were talking about responsibility.
Right. Yeah, a Merker interview would be lit. That's what I went with it. Yo, that guy's
It would
fucking
be.
smarter than me. That's all I can say. I don't say that about a lot of people. But yo, you're fucking smart too, dude. Fucking straight up. You're like probably
Thank
smarter
you, bro.
than me, straight up. Like, I'm just kind of like a fucking bumbly fool over here. But like, I got distracted again. Remind me one more time. I smoked a lot more weed than you.
Responsibility, Papa.
That's it. I can smoke on a pot and go hard and create this shit and do all this shit. Like, I can live this life because you can't, in a sense. Like, it's just kind of what it is. So that's where I was fucking going with it. Yeah, that's just kind of what it is. So yo, let's go back to your shit. So you're back in the TNT life, right? Yo, the history this man has dropped tonight is ridiculous. A lot of Googleable shit if you really want to look into it. So how did that like gravitate? So we only got to like 2012 or so, eh? That's as far as we've really gotten in your story. So 2012, you're a spitter with hooks. That's what I can tell about your career, because that's where the plethora of your fucking available music on YouTube is. You got bars. Yeah. Don't ask me to remember any at this point. I'm fucking gone. But yeah,
8 years ago, though.
But no, you don't have to remember them. I'm just saying. I'm telling y'all, man has bars. I heard a lot of bars. He had bars, but flow, melody, everything was on point back then. But what was also noticeable is, because I believe you said earlier back when you were in your squad that y'all was trying to make sure that you were on that trendy shit end of the day with talent. And I would argue that it was really on point with accessibility, like more pop oriented, but still had skill. Like, because it didn't sound dated today. It sounded like, yo, that sounds good. It brought me back a little bit in a positive kind of way. So kudos on making music that lasted 10 years, from my fucking humble opinion. But what was going on in your life back then with the shows? Let's talk more about that. I want to hear more about the history of that period, because you can't be like, and I know you're relevant then, because like I said, that's when I come into the game, and that's when I hear about how Tek Luciano is legend. So I would love you to elaborate more about that period of life. Also, Spades is still with us like 3 hours into this shit, okay? And I think Willie's still around too. That's nuts. So yo, tell me more about the TNT world in that era and what was happening.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. That whole era of my life is kind of blurry. you know, we were doing a lot of shows. I was getting a lot of positive attention, you know, from females, males too, but obviously not in that sense, right? Uh, at least to my knowledge. Uh, but listen, that I was wavy. That's you know, and listen, and I really do want to like sincerely apologize to you for being an asshole that
Ooh.
night because listen, bro, no. But honestly, I was a fucking dick. Like I was the cockiest person in the world. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. You're not the only person that happened to, by the way. The way that I met Meyer Clarity was we were doing a show at what was that place on St. Catherine and Fred Talon was right downstairs.
Oh,
Um,
fucking Piranha Bar? No. What, shit's,
yeah, Piranha.
okay.
We were, bro, we were doing a show at Piranha, and this punk rock dude with a full fledged mohawk, the denim vest with all the patches on, walks in, and I literally look at him. I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? And
Yeah.
bro, the man went on stage and blew the fucking roof off the building. I was like, yo, like I literally had to come to him at the end of the night and be like, yo, listen, I'm sorry that I was a fucking asshole because yo, your shit is crazy. But all that to say that that whole era of my existence
Yeah.
was blurry as fuck, bro.
I don't
Blurry.
mean to like
I was wilding. I was wilding back then.
I don't mean to interject, but Meyer Clarity is a guy that I always have to big ups when his name comes because dude produced my biggest tune. And
Oh, word?
at the price point, I gotta bigs the man up for the rest of my life like it's a fucking sponsored spot forever, okay? That's how much of a hookup that man hooked me up with for the actual value I got out of what he did. The dude has
That's
been
what's up.
sincere. My first interview for this series was with him in Toronto because he moved
That's,
to Toronto. Um,
yeah.
that guy is the best performer I've ever seen in Montreal in a real life
He's
environment.
crazy. Yo, his energy is like retarded, bro. It's crazy.
And he went in directions like you with the music towards marketability. He's like in the grant game. I don't know if you ever played the grant game, but he's in the grant game doing that kind of
The
stuff.
hell is that?
So there's government grants out there, and if you can
Ah,
prove you're marketable
oh, you
enough,
said Grant. I heard Grank. I'm like, is this
oh
some fucking genre
yeah,
I never heard of before?
grant, grant,
Yeah, yeah.
government grant
Okay. Yeah,
game. And
yeah.
I think he's gotten at least one. I know he's definitely come close to some of them, and like he really makes this shit, and like he'll make like on the cuts on his albums cuts that are like fucking deep for the heads. But
Yeah,
like, yo, you can see he understands the game. I just want to shout
for
him out.
sure.
That guy's making moves, and he reps Montreal, so like it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, does Toronto
Big
too,
him
man,
up.
but
It's all
that's
love,
what it
bro.
is. But yeah, so that era of your life is blurry, but
To say the least.
oh yeah, Willie says grants bring us all around the world. Did you ever try for grants or play that game or go down that path of life?
When we were in famine, we had applied for a bunch of different grants. A shout out to the big homie Jonathan Emil. He's tried to school me on the game of grants as well. I never applied as a solo artist, just because I know guys who have applied 15, 16 times, and they just basically telling me you just have to keep doing it. Eventually, you will get the grant, but it might take 30 tries, type of shit like that. So I can't say that I've honestly done it, but it's definitely a business model that I'm looking to venture into at this point because honestly, I feel like with the quality of the music that I'm making right now, if I had a $20,000 music video behind it, it could definitely do something significant, right? So yeah, I'm definitely aware of it for sure.
I definitely think you also are marketable because part of it is marketability and viability, if I'm not mistaken,
True,
at least
true.
for some of them. As I understand it, there's a lot of grants out there, and while everybody who's done grants has lectured me on grants, I get distracted with everything else I'm doing. I haven't looked into it much. One of these days, but I think you're a lot more marketable than what you're doing in a sense that like it really could go Junos and shit. Like I don't see why not. You keep doing this, you're gonna be like a Travis Scott motherfucker, like one of these guys, and these guys do really big numbers. So I can't. A Tek Luciano who brings that weight, because you obviously know how to perform. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I'm so fascinated by like the fact that you went in that direction. It caught me off guard, but I can tell you,
you and a lot of people for sure, for sure.
but like it makes a lot of sense now that we've had this conversation about how serious you're taking your career. Like, and I think that goes back to it. Like, as much as so, how important is like the artistry versus the career versus all of that? How do you manage this balance?
Bro, to be completely honest with you, like I had this sort of awakening kind of in the last couple of years where back in how T to kind of come full circle, how TNT kind of fell apart was I actually got like a little record deal in New York. And
Say
so I
word.
went over there.
That's big.
I was planning to move out there the whole 9 yards. And that whole thing kind of fell apart because, the guy that was in control of the situation basically just developed a really bad prescription drug habit and shit. Everything just kind of shit the bed. And so I came back to Montreal and super depressed because, like anybody who knows me knows I'm a New York hip hop guy. Like that is to me that's Mecca. Like when I'm in New York, bro, I'm not even the same person. I'm like on a fucking cloud. Like it feels like it's literally the equivalent of Mecca for me. Like it's just what it is, right? So I came back to Montreal super depressed, super down, and then I really didn't put anything out since then in terms of a body of work. I kind of dabbled with tracks here and there and the video in 2016, but in the last couple of years being super silent, transitioning into radio and like transitioning from promoting myself to promoting other people, I kind of had this epiphany that like even with having the kids, that like the whole becoming famous thing at this point, if we're being honest, is kind of off the table, right? So like that's not my aspiration at all anymore. And it's funny because you would think that that would be the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of me never wanting to make music again. But the reality is, once I took that pressure off of myself and took that motive off of every single thing that I release, right? The creativity just opened back up like I'm 14 again. Like the love is back. Like it's once you take that stigma off of your art of like wanting to be famous and feeling like you should be a celebrity or whatever. Like, bro, for me personally, as soon as I took that pressure off of myself, I'm more creative now that I've been in 15 years. And like I'm back to making music for the love of making music again, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like what you're saying a lot because I mean I can kind of relate a little bit to that entire experience, right? Um, I mean I've had to go through a lot of those processes. I mean I think that's kind of part of getting older in this. And I mean
Yeah.
we're like right in the same era, right? So like I mean just life is what it is. Like we were there when Get Rich or Die Trying was hot, but we were teenagers. Like it was a
Yeah.
different thing. Now 50 Cent's what he is today. It's a completely different. He's on TV. It's like everything's changed. Um, so like, how do you? So you went back to your like three albums. So I guess the period then, if we were to map out a little timeline, right? So the TNT thing breaks up around when? Because I guess you got signed to
I
the
would
label.
say probably right after Get It Got a Good Drop, which was my last body of work before this one, which was I think in 2014 maybe. It was right before me and Natasha got together, so yeah, it would have been around 2014. And there wasn't really no concrete reason. Everybody just kind of went their own way,
Right.
um, you know. And then yeah, that's just the whole New York thing happened. And like I said, when that shit fell through, man, because like when I was signed in New York, bro, I had features with Slane. I had a feature with Chris Rivers, with Pun
Okay.
Sun, which is like anybody who
Okay.
knows me, like Pun is like God, the God lyricist to me. So that was super big. And like when I left the label, basically all of those features were taken away from me. I had a video with my guy Pete Powers out in New York, was doing big things right now, and that shit got taken down. Like I lost a lot. So it was a super big blow to my ego, but it was a blessing in disguise because bro, it taught me, it literally made me reassess my entire outlook on music. So it's kind of, in a sense, it's kind of like one of the best things that happened to me, kind of, you know?
I can completely get where you're coming from. I tried to be famous with YouTube at first. I'm not famous type. I mean, I'm me. I'm this thing. I'm good at niche though, and niche is fascinating. I don't know if you follow Mac Miller's career at all. Not Mac Miller.
Not
Sorry,
really, but
sorry. I
obviously I'm
said the
aware of it.
wrong name entirely. Fuck. I meant to say Mac Lethal. I got them confused.
Okay.
Mac Lethal, the one that used to do all the battle rappy stuff, he's currently on YouTube basically rapping to fans and doing his heartstring tugging shit in his house or his basement, doing all
Oh, yeah,
sorts. Yo, dude, man's is he's set. He's fed. He's making like YouTube
for
money.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
proper. And he's got the corniest shit ever. He throws the lamest little fucking beats down. Motherfucker, send him in I actually I hated a little bit. I was so jealous for how brilliant his idea is. People send him story times. So like my dog lost their fucking life. I know it's tragic, but a dog loses his life. I'm feeling sad, whatever. And he'll like spit a bar like, yo, little girl, I know you're sad, but think about your dog up in heaven. He's glad. And he'll like fucking write this whole shit about, like put a spin on it. And it's just like fucking candy to people. How do you feel about shit like that?
Honestly, at this point, like I said, man, I've kind of I've kind of tried to completely remove my ego out of the equation, which, like you saw my ego firsthand back when I shitted on you that night. So that it's a big ego to move out of an equation. But since I've done that, I'm not really opposed to things like that anymore. I mean, like, bro, if it gets you 1 million views, like, were you gonna tell me you're not gonna do it? Like, what do you mean? Like, of course I would do it.
Yeah, my ego has shifted like that as well. Willie says Mac Lethal's dope. That's true though. Mac Lethal's dope with it. He's not whack with it. I want to put that out
No,
there.
he's been around. Like, Mac Lethal has been around since the early 2000s as well. Like, back on the early internet vibes. Like, he's been around. He's been around.
So I like the fact that you like prioritize it as like creating. Is that like
Yeah.
So I mean I saw somewhere, I don't remember whose story it was, where it's the idea that like you're a rapper because you're rapping and you're out there creating and you're out there, that's what makes you a rapper. And so since you have a whole bunch of music in the vault and a whole plan to make a bunch of more, you're doing it. That's the life. You're doing it.
I hope so, man. Shit.
I mean, numbers or whatever. I can tell you your music's fucking dope to me, dude. I can say that sincerely. I'm sure anybody that's gonna listen is gonna say dope. You keep doing this for 10 years, that would be dope too. Cause yo, man, I would be excited for your next release. When is your next release? How's that gonna work out for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, so basically, as I told you before, me and Callie, big up to him one more time. We kind of came to this consensus about like the 3 to 4, 5 maximum track length projects. So basically, my formula for the next little while, and I'm only putting it out there because I don't really care if people copy it.
That's good advice.
Is I'm gonna be putting out 3 to 5 track little projects here and there every month or two for the next little while. And hopefully something sticks. Obviously, there's going to be visuals coming, which is like obviously the major key in all of this. If you don't have the visuals, like part of the reason I probably didn't get the reception that I initially wanted was because there's no visuals. The visuals are the most important thing. Yeah. So
you think that like,
bro, night and day, like, bro, like the video is absolutely the most important part of a release at this point. Like, I almost feel stupid for not having videos ready, but financially, right now I got other priorities that are 5 and 3 years old, so whatever. But yeah, like the visual is absolutely paramount to any successful release. Absolutely.
Would you fuck with like cell phone videos, or does it have to be like high budget shit?
I mean, that's the thing. I'm kind of bougie in that regard, where like anything that I put out, I want it to be of a certain quality. So that's kind of where like I would rather wait and put out one really high quality video than put out 10 super trash videos. Like, that's just how I feel about it personally.
No, I mean, everybody, I like the way Bud's put it. Do whatever works for you. Because it's just also how your life is going to be and how you're going to do it. If you're the kind of person that knows those people and can make that happen and et cetera, pursue that. If you're not that person, don't pursue shit in the meantime, right? Like, so everybody's got to do their own thing. Like, I'm not the high budget guy. I'm the low budget, high frequency guy, and I'm going to stick to that because it's just what my people fuck with, I'm on that DIY bullshit crap.
Yeah, I'm totally not knocking it at all.
No, man,
just saying,
but
like,
we
for me
need...
personally,
But like,
I'm my own biggest critic. I get in my own way a lot, to be honest with you. Like, big straight up.
No, but on the other hand, like, let's think about this from a fashion perspective, right? So cool, I'm there with my fucking hoodies and ragamuffin fucking bullshit, and that totally works for me. But trust, if all it is me, nobody's coming to that party. You can get away with like 3 of me. And I'm one of the 3 of me, alright? So like there can't be a whole lot of me's up in here doing this shit. Plus, even when I rap, dude, it's always in a suit. Like, this is podcast behind that suit, There's a fucking suit in the title. Cause the fashion.
But yo, it's a dope little brand you created, though. I gotta give you that for sure.
I appreciate that. But I noticed you looking all styled. We actually spoke about this before. He had to make sure you got everything fucking lined up. I'm like bullshit.
Just gotta be. Look at that. That shit. I'm the illest barber in the game, son. No, I'm joking, but yeah, no, definitely, bro. Listen, I got no fucking hair, so this is all I got. I gotta make sure shit is on point, man.
But
You know?
so one of the big mistakes in my past was letting myself
Mhm.
look sloppy, thinking that skill alone would carry me, and that was a mistake.
In
That
my opinion, it is because, bro, like, what do they tell you? You go for a job interview, you do anything. First impression is the most important thing, and before you open your mouth, the first thing people see is what you're wearing. That's as much of a statement as your music. Almost
mm,
even more so, to be honest with you. And like, I'm not talking about you, but I remember seeing guys on the circuit when I was doing shows that would literally show up to every single show wearing the same pair of beat up sneakers and like the same hoodie, and I'm just like, bro, like, do you not, like, you really don't get it? Like, maybe it's because of where I'm from and like the era that I grew up in, but like the people that I grew up with, if you came out of the house looking busted up, bro, we were gonna make fun of you until you wanted to cry and not come to school the next day. Like, we would literally make fun of you and like we would bully you because you look crusty. You couldn't do that shit. So I'm like, I'm kind of a fly guy in that regard, or at least I try to be. I was definitely more fly when I was younger. Like, it's not the priority as much as it used to be. But if I can help it, yeah,
but
you're
look,
never gonna see me in
even
a music video
as
looking
he says
crusty, bro.
that, I'm not fly at all. Fucking ring on the finger.
I didn't do that on purpose. My shoe was itchy, bro.
It was just the
Shit,
subconscious kicking in there. No, but for real,
might be.
I think a lot about that kind of stuff now because it was never that important to me. I mean, yes, I wear a suit. Sometimes that suit didn't fit right. I was watching one of my shits, right? And my fucking dress sleeve is so fucking big, and everybody told me, and I didn't really listen. And no wonder,
Yeah.
motherfucker, because then I realized, so yo, I lost a lot of weight. And what I realized is that tells people you treat yourself proper and therefore they
Mhm.
should take you more seriously. So then you lose weight, you're like, well, fuck, now I kind of got to, I'm going to make sure it all fits right, why the fuck not? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden everyone starts, like, it creates almost this whole, like, cycle of, like, reinforcement of positive shit. And really, I hate the fact that the world is a fashion show, but it is in all fields. It's not just hip hop and where you're from, dude. It's everywhere. You think that if
Yeah.
you're wearing crusty shit at work, look, I can tell you one thing. If you're the guy whose ass is out in an office place, that ass crack is discussed by everyone. That is your fashion choices being bullied and critiqued. I'm certain that's the
Facts,
same
bro.
place in
You out here
everyone.
looking like a plumber and shit. You gotta relax. That's hilarious.
I'm like, if you look too crusty, like, I take flack from my fucking long hair and beard from my colleagues. I get away with it because I put out albums. That's like how I earn the right to keep it.
Yeah.
But like, even then, they're like, bro, if you cut your hair, you're gonna make more money. And you know what the fact is? They're right. If I cut my hair, I'm gonna make more fucking money. Apparently, Willie Scandals remembers Tech in a nightgown tee. I don't know if that makes.
Oh, yo, okay, bro. So listen, the year is 2002, 2003. Dipset is on top of the world at this point, bro. The T's are all 4 5X. It was a competition. You might have heard of another rapper from Shots Out named Prince Akeem,
Yes.
and it was basically, because his squad in high school, there was his squad and my squad, and it kind of ended up merging at one point. But there was his squad, and they were like the pretty boy ball players, and then my squad was like the dope dealer, fucking stoner crew, whatever, right? But the point being is that me and Prince Akeem basically had this unwritten competition of like who had the longest tee, who had the freshest kicks, it was always a competition, bro. So like that's why the fashion shit is super important. But yo, that's super
But
funny
it's
that he
also,
remembers that.
but it's also like
It
so.
was the teas were obnoxious at one point, bro. Like, oh my
But
god.
even if you want to like go in a whole other direction to it, like if you, because I learned, I'm into history now, right? So I'm trying to like just study all this shit. So like as an example, I used to be a hater of Southern music. Like I'm
Mhm.
talking like, cause it's very repetitive. Let's be real, a lot of repetition up in that shit. But
Yeah.
then you take like a look at the 30s. We're going back at how church worked, and it would be like one motherfucker in the room could read. I know this is kind of dark or whatever in terms of tones,
Nah,
but
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
but basically how it would work is to do their thing. It's not like everybody open it up. Not everybody in the room could read. So mans would read a line, and everybody in the church would read a line back, and this would be how the songs would be sang, all of
Mhm.
it. So the way even the hymn would get sang to the whole room would be like, this little light of mine, and then you get that response, this little light of mine. I hope that's
Mhm.
not whatever. And that would be, take care of Spades. Thanks for sticking through as long as you did. You a trooper.
Yo, big up, bro. Thank you, eh? I appreciate you sincerely, bro.
And if you want to be shouted out as much in a video, come through on the live Twitch in the future. Um, I just assume more people are going to watch the after the fact part because that's the reality of the situation, which is all love, though. Thank you for checking it, every one of you.
It's all love.
But yeah, I guess so. You look at that, right, and then you look at history. That's the culture of so much. That's the cornerstone of society in the 30s at that level, right, outside of commerce. So of course the music's gonna have call and response like that. It's just everybody grew up with that shit. That was church music and shit. And when I learned that, I was like, oh my fucking god, I'm an idiot. Like I just like it blew my fuck. And this was like a recent. Like I learned that in a book this year, and it fucked me up so. I by then gotten into it.
It's an entirely different culture. I mean, if you're talking about the South, there's bass music from Miami. You got the bounce music from New Orleans. I mean, it's literally an entire, almost like a subset of hip hop, kind of like grime, like what you were talking about on Facebook the
Oh
other
my
day,
gosh,
which is
grime
like,
is so interesting.
listen, like a lot of people don't notice about me, but like my birth parents are both from the UK, right? So like,
Okay.
I just have this natural attraction to like the UK side of things. Like for me, I don't know what the fuck is in the water in the UK, but the music that comes off of that island is like the craziest shit in the world to me, bro.
Yeah, I
Crazy
mean,
shit. But that's
no, but even if you want to take it on that front, you got this grime shit, which will appeal to the mosh pit kids, but these dudes are still spitting in the pocket, making it proper. Like, to be fair, whatever, I don't know that much about it. I've reviewed a Wiley album, and I just did, like, literally, we're going to put it out probably in the next day or two. Tomorrow we're putting out the review for Dizzy Rascal's first project, Boy in the Corner.
That's crazy.
That is one of the best albums I've consumed in the hundreds of albums I've reviewed on this album. Yo, I'm
For
blown
sure.
away. The energy is so next level, right? If you want to talk about lyricism and bars, everybody think they got bars, but they never heard the 4 hours. So they don't know that they don't have bars because they never heard the 4 hours. The UK in pretty much every fucking regard is crushing that shit, but
Yeah,
nobody here
big time.
knows about it. And talking about on
Big time.
talent fronts, and I'm just saying about guys who adhere to the culture. And if you look at the way why did Ari the Rugged Man move to Germany?
Well, because for his for his like demographic of hip hop, that's who's consuming it. I mean, like even all the older heads, like the Onyxes and all of that sort of era, bro. They don't make their tour money here. They make their tour money in Europe. That's where that era of music lives on in Europe. So
But
yeah, for sure, it makes sense.
even the younger cats that want to replicate that era of music would do better in Europe, even in that regard.
Big time,
Which is
big
just
time.
something I never really thought that much about. I mean, I thought a little bit about it, but I guess that's an avenue. I guess if you really want to have your third verses, I want to have my third verses, and you want to go down that path, but I also want to fuck with the other shit because I also want to see what I can do with it, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to? Because
12-bar verses, homie.
but let me ask you a question. How important is like the message in all of this to you at the core of your music?
It's the most important thing. For me, it all, you know what, it always has been, because even if you look back at my older projects, whether it's the Famine album or my first solo project, which I don't expect anybody to, I don't even know if I can have a copy of it, as retarded as that is. Even on the Get It Got It Good mixtape, which was predominantly just straight up mainstream shit, there's still 4 or 5 songs on there where I'm speaking some soulful, like hit you in the heart type of shit. It's always been there for me, and that's just because I've been through things in my life, like, you know what I mean? Everybody's been through things in their life, but like I've been through things in my life that I've always felt like I want to communicate that in my music, to let people know that as much as I might come across
Oh, you still with
alpha
me?
male.
Okay, cool.
You good?
Yeah, cut for
As,
a second.
all
Keep going.
right, all good. So as much as I might come across in my music as like this alpha male, super machismo, egotistical fucking guy, I'm still a human being, and I still go through things. I still go through a range of emotions. I laugh, I cry, I get angry and sad like everybody else. And I want to, like, especially now in my life, I want to super normalize that shit. Like, bro, it's okay to not be in the club popping bottles, driving a $100,000 car. Like, bro, there's most people on earth are not living that. Most people on earth are just regular everyday people going through shit. And that's kind of like, I want to let those people know that, yo, it's okay. Like, it's cool. You don't have to be this unrealistic expectation that Instagram places on us of being a Instagram model and looking like an Instagram model and living a luxury life. Like, it's cool to just be a normal person. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the message is like paramount, super paramount. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the next project I put out is probably gonna be a little bit more on the ignorant tip, just because I feel like there's a certain itch I need to scratch lyrically. But at my core, the message is super important.
So I think that's amazing. I definitely felt this last project you did. Like I felt it in a way where like, because here's the thing. I think people like the sounds of the music, but when you
Yeah.
really listen to what middle class America complains about, it's the content. It's not the sound. It's never the sound. Obviously, the sound is palatable. It charts. But the content, it's hard to listen to Migos. You got to be into what they do, and sometimes I am.
I
Sometimes
mean,
I'm
listen,
not.
if I was still in my 20s, going to the club every weekend, popping bottles, I would love to listen to that shit. But the reality is, that's not where I am in my life anymore.
Mm.
You know, so
So, and I'm not gonna lie. Listen, it's when I'm doing chores. When I'm doing
yeah,
chores, you can't really sing it, but I throw on the tunes, and I got my like 5 or 6 of that kind of, and I have my like, and I call them like playlists for like chores, or I copy paste music and stuff where I gotta get
yeah,
litty in my brain because the stuff is so mundane. And it has
yeah.
a time and a place, but lately I'm just so like grind. Then there's grind music. That's like Griselda. Griselda is grind music because this is business
Mhm.
advice, and you just feel like a boss, in my opinion, listening to their shit. And then like everything's got a time and a place. But you come in with this shit where, listen, man, I know a lot of parents and stuff that would really feel what you're saying. As in,
For sure.
like my dude went through divorce since I knowing him. I've seen that play out a few times. I'm certain
Mhm.
at those custody bars, dog. Oh my gosh, if somebody's vibing and feeling it and they hear that and they're like, wait a second, this rapper just admit to like some shit that like we're all like hearing about but nobody's talking about.
Yeah,
Ugh.
exactly, bro. There you go. You hit the
So
nail on the head.
like, and then if we go back to message, right? Here's the
Hmm.
thing, dude. I could write you all the bullshit about all the bullshit about all the bullshit in great detail. And I think it was Flacco Bayo who put it best from listening to this Litty Bros project. He's like, in this album, if you really listen, there's a lot of social political messaging tucked into it. That's just the facts of it. You gotta listen for it, but it's there. Which means when you listen to the track 9 times, you'll hear the bars. And then you're gonna think about it. And you're actually gonna wanna listen to the bars and listen to it. And word up to Merker for making that shit sound blessed as it did. That's fucking fire that he made that sound as good as he did. But what I loved about that project was the replayability of it. And in the same way, I find your project extremely replayable. And the truth is, most of this shit, like I have to admit to myself, isn't that replayable. So who cares if my message is good? Right? They're gonna listen one time, they're not gonna think about it. They're gonna move on to the next thing. And it's like, am I really gonna cut off my nose to spite my face, or however that expression goes? Nah, man. So if I really want to be an artist with a message, shouldn't I be doing the shit that makes people want to listen to my music? And I feel like that's what you tapped into that really impressed the shit out of me about you before I talked to you. And I feel like you validated that this whole like almost 4 hour chat. You validated that heavy.
So what's up? That's definitely what I was going for, bro. So I'm glad you picked up on it.
I mean, I feel that. And I also, on that note, understand the need to go the other route. Because let's be real about, like, people, right? Like, listen, I never talked about, like, female anatomy in a direct way before. But I did on my last track, and guess what? People liked it more. It turns out if you
Hmm.
mention intercourse in any kind of way, even if your girlfriend looks at you like, they're gonna think it's about me. I'm like, whatever. You know what? It worked though, because that's related. That's people like thinking about that kind of stuff. In the
Sex
same,
sells, bro. They don't say that shit for no reason.
and if we go back to that live environment situation for a second, what's the other half of that fun vibe? Women, like, or if you're a lady, whatever any person is into. Let's be as inclusive as possible, right? But like the fact is, if you're going out on a Friday night and you're single, you kind of want to not leave the night alone. And if you're going out with your partner, you want to aphrodisiac the situation with some dancing. So, because if you're in my age, it is really easy to fuck it up and ruin the night. Not that it happens a lot. You get good at not doing that, but you fuck up here and there. So if you can get her danced up and stuff, it's just making your life easier. So if you're at the show and that vibe never happens, like everybody. So back to what you were saying, I'm just thinking about
it's
the nuggets.
It's a waste of a Friday night, bro.
Yo,
it's a waste of a Friday night, dog.
Man, all right. I definitely, I don't know what else I can say at this point. I feel like I am running out of steam just a little bit at this point.
It's all love.
I definitely would love to have you come back in the future. You're going to put out more projects, so definitely gives you a reason to come back and promote. If you want to see us play Among Us, and you'd be interested in watching Montreal Hip Hop do that, because, I'm just saying that for anybody that watches this on YouTube that's this deep into this video, right? If you want to see us play Among Us, let us know. And
I come with a warning. I'm gonna be talking incredible amounts of shit the whole time. I'm just letting you know. The ego still is here somewhere. I'm just letting you know.
Willie brought something up. Freestyle time. You did promise.
Oh yeah.
Just avoid any of the gender terms.
So like no B's and stuff like that, right?
Just try to, just in case Twitch gets mad at us after. I don't know. They're kind of strict on the gender. It's more the T ones and the Q and those ones that are bad.
No, we ain't going down that route.
Fantastic. It's just, anyway, I have to give the warning.
All right, so check it out. I've been gone for too long, pardon the absence. Y'all been getting fat while I starve. That's word to famine. Y'all better pray though, the predator back. Here with a vengeance to rap. Circles round you squares. Measure the gap that's between us. Y'all know the procedure. You can hit the E transfer anytime you need a feature. I can make your shit hot till it's burning through the speakers. I done earned my stripes. You just fronting in your Adidas, looking stupid in your shell toes. City in a drought, no suppliers, man. This shit is looking drier than your elbow. Son said he'll hit me for 5. I'm like, yeah, so can he get the shit on the arm? I told him, hell no. Look a liar in his face. Well, his girl's in my inbox, dying for a taste. I don't want to hit. She ain't a dime anyway. Just the address, just the combo to the safe and the address in his face. Let me see where we going with it. Fuck it. That's all y'all getting for now, man. But listen, y'all need to go check The Darkest Hour on all digital streaming services right now.
In the description.
Yeah, thank you. And I got to big up Native 808 1,000 more times because, the bro hit me with the fire. And it wouldn't have been possible without it. So super big up to
we're
Native
not
808.
dipping yet. Listen, we got one more question because I just thought of it right now.
Okay, go ahead.
I love the fact that you brought up producers. Do you feel like rappers don't give an out loud to the producers these days?
I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't give credit to the producers, because what are you gonna rap over without them? I mean, yeah, you could jack beats off YouTube, but why would you want to do that when you could build an actual relationship with your producer, and your producer's gonna know what you need and know what you sound good on? So yeah, you need to. I've always bigged up my producers. Big up to Peter West for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm working with Native 808, my little cousin and shit. Shout out to him, man. Big him up. If you guys need beats, he doesn't only do trap. He does the boom bap.
My word.
He does it all. So hit him up. Tell him I sent you, huh?
It's almost a good thing that you weren't mid freestyle, as we got the froggy voice effect coming. So I guess that is the fate saying for now.
Yeah.
It's the end. So I guess we'll just do the little outro and everyone will deal with froggy voice tech in the outro. But thank y'all for watching for real, because especially Willie, everybody out there that really stuck it through like this, it really means the world to me. I don't even care if it's a tiny number or whatever. It's cool to see that we're able to create this kind of community, and having you come back will be amazing because it just helps contribute to it. Even if it's in 2 months, just to have another chat, share what we've learned along the way. That's how
For
DJ
sure.
Vlad did New York in a positive. That's how a lot of things happen. And I just wanted, this is how I'm trying to build Anglo Montreal. So for all y'all watching, like a couple of people have, hit me up on the whatever, and you could be like Tek Luciano sitting right here having a chit chat. And maybe I get goofy, maybe I'll get serious. Who fucking knows? It's not the point. We're just here trying to make it all pop. Because, yo, everybody now knows that Tek Luciano is a man making moves, knows that he's a man to talk to that you can learn from. Whether he has the time to answer your question, give the man a break. He's a parent. He's very busy. But I'm certain that if you hit him up with the right kind of attitude, maybe the man has a couple, 1, 2 knowledge nuggets he can share with you personally. Maybe if, whatever. The future's bright is, I guess, what I'm feeling like. This whole tech shit gives us a chance to be connected. So let us know if you're feeling the vibe in the comments. For everybody that has a comment section over there, definitely hit that like button and all that stuff. Subscribe / follow / whatever, because it's going to be on Spotify. It's going to be on all the things, so because people want to hear it on all the things. So we're going to have it everywhere that we can get it. So watch, somebody's going to come with some random shit I never heard of. Anyway, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Pratt, Jonathan Barnes, CJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams, Scribble. Fuck, I fucked that up. They're dope. Links in description. If you want to support us like they support us, they get to get some like extra little song reviews and stuff done from us on a personal. So if you really want us to cover your shit in detail, that's a better way to do it than begging in the comments. But no, for real, if I love, if you don't want to support us, that's cool. Hit the subscribe stuff. That would be real dope. Anyway, I'm a self-deprecating Jew. It is what it is. Definitely. Check out my music if you feel down for it. It's not like his. That's just kind of what it is. I do my own weird shit. You might like it, you may hate it. But I recommend you check out his music first, because his is a vibe. It makes me want to go make a vibe, because I don't have vibes like that. And it's a vibe you'll feel on. So just to end it on that, because I think it's not often I feel that way, but I actually want you to listen to the man's music way more than I care about you checking out my shit. I just have to plug myself because it's content. If this does get 1 million views, come on, we can share some love. Anyway, it's been fun. I'm clearly, it's a little past my normal on camera. It's past my bedtime type shit. So thank you, dude. I love this. I had a fucking great time. And thank y'all out there.
Likewise.
Live long and prosper, everyone.
Thank you for having me, brother. Big up everybody who tuned in. Big up everybody who stayed tuned in. Sincerely appreciate you guys. Go check out The Darkest Hour on all digital streaming services. Please, I super appreciate it. Love.
Peace.